Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, TV, and streaming. And happy Tuesday for those of you who live more on the West Coast. That means tonight is the newest episode of the Book of Boba Fett. I'm not calling it game day, though. I'm sorry. The show has not impressed me enough to call Boba Fett night game day. That belongs to Peacemaker now. Tomorrow, for me, is game day. But I still will be watching Book of Boba Fett tonight. Another guy I'm sure is going to be watching, he's sitting right over there, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing well. 3 more episodes left. The Book of Boba Fett, you said it was a pamphlet.
Yeah, the pamphlet of Boba Fett.
The pamphlet of Boba Fett.
The brochure of Boba Fett.
The brochure of Boba Fett. I hope it turns into a book.
And sitting right beside him, of course, the well-read, world-renowned Ray Ora. Ray, how you doing?
Game day.
Game day.
Can't wait for Pajama Fett.
Pajama Fett.
He's either half naked or wearing a onesie. What's up?
And of course, guys, Ray will be, for those of you watching live, Ray will be joining you guys in the live chat there, of course, for the day. And of course, sitting right beside him is Chris Carr. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about Boba Fett. I like him.
I'm glad.
Let's avenge those sand people.
There are many people upset at Boba Fett because after that, he's going to go hunting for Anakin because nobody butchers the sand people like Anakin Skywalker does. So.
Oh, wow.
It's just, there you go. Anyway, guys, it is great to have you here, and here's how today's show is going to go. We break the show into 2 parts. The first part of the show, we talk about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we take your live comments and questions. Now, there's 2 ways to send in a live comment or question. Number 1, if you're watching live, and only if you're watching live, you guys can use the super chat feature right over there in the YouTube chat, and we'll read those off once we get to the end of the main topics. The second way, if you're not watching this live and you're watching this video one of the other 22 hours during the day, you can still send in questions and comments using the tip link below. You just go into the description, click on that tip link, or enter it in manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You'll be getting your comment or question read on the show if we deem it appropriate for our show or an upcoming companion video. And of course, you'll be supporting our channel at the same time, and all of us involved with the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Also want to remind you guys that if you need your fix to the daily John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, maybe you're jogging, you're at the gym, maybe you're commuting, good news, there's an audio-only version of today's show called the John Campea Show podcast. All you got to do, once I bring up the actual correct screen there, because I don't have it on right now, all you got to do is go on over to your favorite podcasting app of choice, search for the John Campea Show, subscribe to it today so the show will be there when you need it. And thank you to all of you guys who have already subscribed to that show. Okay, guys, let's get into an off the top here, shall we, before we get into anything else. And that one off the top is this. Now, we were just kind of joking a little bit about Book of Boba Fett, that it hasn't, I don't hate the show, and I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I mean, there's been 4 episodes. There are 2 episodes I liked, 2 episodes that I didn't. So I think the jury's still out on Book of Boba Fett. We'll see where it goes. But even though The Force Awakens was a triumph of a movie, the best Star Wars movie since the original Star Wars trilogy, Rogue One close behind it, but the reality is, too, a number of the new Star Wars films have not hit so well with people. For instance, The Last Jedi. I like The Last Jedi, but I had problems with it. I hated The Rise of Skywalker. I've been kind of iffy on Book of Boba Fett, but Mandalorian's been doing great. It seems like the one place that there is some pretty good strength as far as Star Wars goes, it seems to be in the realm of video games right now. Because I wasn't a big fan of Battlefront 1, but I did like Battlefront 2. I played a bunch of Battlefront 2. Then they came out with that new simulator. I can't remember. It's kind of like a throwback to the old X-Wing and TIE Fighter games. I can't remember the name of it, but I played a bunch. What's it called, Ray? Do you remember?
Rebel.
Was it just Squadron?
It might have been just Squadron. Yeah, Squadron might have been the name of it.
Right.
So I remember I played a bunch of that because, again, one of my, other than World of Warcraft, X-Wing and TIE Fighter are probably the games I spent more hours of my life playing than any other kind of game. So that took me back to that. And then there was Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, so good.
Jedi Fallen Order kind of came out and everybody was hoping it would be good. And it delivered on all fronts. The gameplay was great. The characters were fun. but the story was wonderful. They actually told a really great, compelling story, and they did such a wonderful job with it. Everybody talked about it. And it actually introduced through the game an actual new favorite chapter for a lot of people in the Star Wars story. I think it takes place about 15 years before the events of the original Star Wars movie. And you got the new Cal, who's the new Jedi character. The Inquisitors are hunting him. There's a mystery with one of the Inquisitors. He comes across a Jedi. He was a Jedi Padawan. He's been in hiding since the Purge and all that kind of stuff. And a wonderful ending. The ending of this game. Now, I will confess, I didn't play the game all the way through.
Okay.
I played about 3 or 4 hours of the game, and then I just watched the 9-hour cutscene movie. And then I watched the way. And the ending, for those of you who have not played the game or know the game, I won't give it away, but it is fantastic. The ending of the game is absolutely fantastic. There's a moment where there's kind of dead silence, and then you just hear a sound. And it's the sound that everybody said, WTF, across the world as they were playing the game. If you played it, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but there's been all quiet on that front as far as another Jedi Fallen Order. Well, now it's official. It is confirmed. EA announced today that they're developing 3 new Star Wars games. One is a first-person shooter. One's kind of a strategy game. But the one everybody's talking about most is going to be Jedi Fallen Order 2. That they are now officially moving forward with it, and that's got a lot of people excited. It's got me excited. Hell, I'm just as excited to go and watch the cutscene movie of it as I am about trying to play the game, especially on the new PS5. Thank you again, Ryan, for getting me that. Anyway, so this is pretty exciting news. Again, I think this is relevant because over the last couple of years, the video game side of Star Wars seems to be the place where there's been not universal satisfaction, but at least the most satisfaction in general, I think, with a lot of people, Fallen Order being a big part of that. Chris, I know you were a big thing of Jedi Fallen Order. Like, what do you think about this news? Why did it take so long? Where do you think they can go with this story? What are your thoughts?
I am so excited about this. I love this so much. I love Cal so much. BD1, come on. It's so, so good. And we've got a really, really great place where we left off, too, without giving anything away. I mean, this isn't a big spoiler, but Darth Vader knows that Cal's alive, so we've got a lot to play with here, right? And I think it took time just because we want to make sure that story still holds up, right? Star Wars, typically, the sequel's been the best. I'm an Empire girl. So we want installation number 2 to be a really, really strong story in here as well, as I think. And we want to make sure all of our graphics and everything are up to snuff, too. So I'm glad they've taken their time, but I'm very excited for this story.
I still remember, Ray, I don't know if you remember this, but the first time they showed off gameplay for Fallen Order and a lot of the mechanics in it and the way things worked, and we were like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, and I remember, I think we were all sitting in the room when they first showed this off, and we were like, the game isn't actually going to play this well. And it actually did play this well. Yeah. It actually does play this well. And it's caught on with a lot of people. Rob, when you take a look at this, like, what do you think it is about this game and this story that has kept people excited about it and are going to be excited for the sequel?
Well, I think Star Wars, you pointed out that Star Wars has always had pretty good success in video games. And they've managed to create, like, what was the name of the character in Shadows of the Empire? Kyle Katarn? Kyle Katarn?
I can't remember the actual
name.
name.
But I even like that guy. And that was what, in the 90s? That was a Nintendo. That was 64.
Wow.
And when I played this game, I was a Force Unleashed guy. Did you ever play Force Unleashed?
Yeah.
I love Force Unleashed. And Fallen Order, I thought, was, one, it was beautiful. It was really compelling, and it was fun to play. So what's not to love? And the fact that you have all of this Star Wars iconography. And I'm looking forward to a second version of it. I have a PlayStation 5 now.
Oh,
am I the only one here who still doesn't have one? This is horseshit.
The Force is like one of the best.
I got one from a friend of mine up in Seattle.
Oh, I got mine from a friend too.
He also got me an Xbox.
I need better friends.
I think that's the issue here, Chris.
That's what Boba Fett's doing on that planet. He's giving everyone PS5.
He's handing out PS5. Why rule with fear when you can rule with PS5?
I will befriend all of you.
I would follow him
We
into
can have
battle.
multiplayer.
You know who's going to love the PS5s and giving out? Them Mos Espa Vespas. Them kiddies love the PS5.
Well, that's going to be the kids' game, the racing game, the Mos Espa Vespas. For the
there you go.
For the
this
kids'
is the
game.
new pod racing.
Because you're in a universe of like swoop bikes and speeder bikes. So hey, how about those Vespas? They'll get you where you're going.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. Why do you think, and what is it that you think about Jedi Fallen Order that has really kind of, again, not universally, but for most Star Wars fans, really left them satisfied and excited for this follow-up part? What are your expectations for it? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With all that down, let's now move into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them. Whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the show, just go anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. That down. Chris, what is our first main topic today?
First topic is coming from Kyle Arking. Hi, John. I've noticed that end credit scenes have become more common than ever in movies today. There are people who still don't know that Nick Fury was actually Talos in Far From Home if they didn't stay after the credits. Recent non-Marvel movies like Ghostbusters Afterlife and Matrix Resurrections both had end credit scenes. Do you think that there should be a message before every movie that there was an end credit scene in the film?
That's a really good question. Because I'll tell you what, I remember, like around the beginning of the MCU, you know, socially conscious film fans, when they be in the movie theaters, particularly for an MCU film, and the movie would end and they see their fellow patrons getting up to leave the theater, going, whoa, guy, just so you know, there's another scene. And people would go, what are you talking about? There's another scene. It's coming, wait. And like, it's whenever, without fail, you'd see people saying that, say, just so you know, there's another scene, whatever. And now when people say that, everybody goes, yeah, we know. Because everybody knows there's a post-credit scene, but some people want to, I don't know, beat the rush to the bathroom. Or I don't know. The question, though, is interesting. Should movie theaters or should studios make sure people are aware if there is or is not a post-credit scene? Now, if you had asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said no, because the post-credit scene is a delightful surprise. You know, it's something unexpected. You know, it's a little bonus or a little reward for those people who sit through the mind-numbing task of sitting through the credits. And usually the only people who sit through there is because they have a second cousin who is one of the gaffers, and they just want to see if Eddie's name comes up on the screen. So, I mean, there you go. Oh, Chris was very upset about that. I think, are you a credit watcher?
I'm a credit watcher. It takes a lot of people to make a movie. You should stay and watch.
Plus the music.
That's true.
Well, yes, sometimes I stay just for the music.
There's great score, and usually some original songs.
Yeah, so there you go. Sometimes it's worth it.
I get real annoyed at the SAG-AFTRA screenings because they stop the credits after they name all the actors, and I'm like, did we make this by ourselves?
Because only SAG is responsible for the movie.
They're the only ones doing stuff.
So I used to think it was like just a little delightful treat. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple of interesting things that get raised up here. It went from being just a nice little after credit treat to sometimes it's actually important. Like you mentioned the whole thing about Nick Fury in the after credits, right? Like that's a significant revelation.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you still get your ones, like one of the post-credit scenes in Thor Ragnarok was not Taskmaster. What's Jeff Goldblum's
the Grandmaster.
Grandmaster. I was thinking Black Widow, sorry. Not Taskmaster, Grandmaster. You know, there's just a cute little one. He comes out of his crash ship. Oh, hey, everybody, we did it. Well done. You know, that's just fun. That's just a fun little fun, but no real significance. There are now post-credit scenes that have absolute significance. We're going to talk about one of them in another topic in a couple of topics from now here on the show today. There's also this. Once you start to create a little bit of an expectation of post-credit scenes, there have been times I have sat for 12 minutes through the post-credit scene, crossing my legs, tight holding my gut, trying not to urinate on the seat I'm sitting in, because the movie's now done, and I'm sitting through the 12 extra minutes, and then the lights come up. And literally, they just wasted my time. No offense to SAG. No offense to SAG or anybody else. But you just wasted 12 minutes of my time. And Ray is already having a hard enough time getting through the movie as it is.
You have Aaron in there too, Lord.
Like Aaron, like
y'all gonna be on all those scenes.
Wow.
I mean, so it does raise a question. Should there now be kind of a responsibility to let audiences know. I'll tell you, when I go to the movies now, when I get to the concession stand, Ann and I just had this for the last movie we went to, they have a placard sign on the concession stand saying, if you are here for such and such movie, I can't remember what movie it was, be aware there's some photo flashing of lights in it that may be, for people who are sensitive to that sort of thing and whatever. I kind of feel like, and again, this is a complete 180 from what I would have said a couple of years ago. I kind of now do feel the theater should tell people if there's a post-credit scene. You paid for your movie ticket. You paid for the movie experience. If part of that movie experience is coming after the credits, let the audience know. And if there's not, well, then don't make people waste their time sitting there. Again, I don't feel a huge conviction about this. I'm just saying I'm starting to lean more to that way. So my vote is yes. I think theaters should start letting people know, hey, such and such a Showtime movie they're going in to see. There is a post-credit scene if you are interested. Rob, this is a question that started coming up a lot, like after Iron Man, the end of Iron Man, and Nick Fury shows up at the end, talks about the Avenger Initiative. Where has your thinking evolved at all in this? What have you thought traditionally about whether or not people should be made aware that there's a post-credit scene, and where's your thinking at right now?
Well, first of all, I think that end credit scenes are for the people who know, or the people that wait.
Right.
It's a treat. The first time I was ever interested in post-credit things were in the wake of Animal House, which came out in 1978. Babs Jansen, the character of Babs Jansen, it says in the movie that she becomes a tour guide at Universal Studios. And then at the end of Universal movies, there was a piece of art that says visit Universal Studios. And then sometimes it would come up parenthetically and it said ask for Babs. So I think it was if it was another Universal comedy, which I thought was cool. So I would wait until the end of the movie if it was Universal to see if it's going to say ask for Babs on it. And then the next time that there was a post-credit scene that I remember was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Right.
It's over. Go ahead, go away. Which I thought was pretty cool.
Which Deadpool 2 then played a riff on, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. And then with Marvel, it became a thing. And I think I don't think you should tell people. It should be something that should be discovered. It's fun when you find out. Like, I didn't know that there was going to be a post-credit scene in Matrix Resurrections. I had no idea. And I went and saw it in IMAX theater with Polly from Latino Slant, and there was one. And I chuckled, and I felt like I got a prize.
So Chris, let me ask you. Rob raised an interesting point. It's kind of the way I used to think, that it's a there for surprise. But now that it's evolved a bit, and sometimes it's actually something that's narratively important. Again, I'm trying to think of one that's as important as that the Skrull one at the end with Samuel L. Jackson there. That actually is important. It changes a little bit your perception of the rest of the movie that you just saw when that revelation comes there at the end. Should that change our mind? Should we look at it differently as just being from a fun surprise to, well, hell, if it's something that's actually important to the story of the movie, maybe we should. I don't know. How do you see it right now?
I think it's an interesting thing to bring up too, because that is really the first narrative thing that we only see in that post-credit scene. Everything else, it's a clip from another thing. We see, people talking about bringing Bucky back, or we see the Flarkin throwing up the cube and everything. We already know these things. We know everything that's happening. If it's important to the narrative, I do think it's more important for people to stay. I never want to gatekeep fandoms. I never want it to just be like, it's just for me, and if you know, you know. But also, I want you all to stay at the end of the credits. So I think you should just sit your butt there. And then if there's one there, good for you. I understand, though, not wanting to wait that long with how long trailers are now, too. With all the commercials and everything, you are sitting in a movie theater usually for 45 minutes just before your movie even starts.
I want to ask Ray this. Ray, you're a movie fan. You go into a movie. As a fan, would you appreciate if they let you know in advance if there was a screening, if there was a postcard scene or not, or would you prefer to leave that as a surprise?
Well, I prefer it's a surprise, but to me, I've never really cared for the post-credit scenes, to be honest. I stay there because you guys.
Because we stay there?
We stay. Like, I remember one where I knew there was a post-credit scene.
He'll stay for Moonfall, though.
Yeah.
He'll wait to see if there's another moon that shows up at the end.
Which one's the end credit? Which movie was it where Loki gets a Tesseract or whatever? It goes into the ice chamber, and then he uncovers the Tesseract. what movie was that post credit scene in?
I don't think that's a thing.
I don't know,
no,
man.
No. Remember when he's walking with the suit, or Nick Fury's walking with the suitcase, and there's a Tesseract.
Oh,
there?
there's definitely a suitcase one. Yeah.
Yeah,
where
that
they-
one.
they say-
I knew that one, but then I had to go to the restroom, and you guys told me, "Oh, play for the," and I just went to the restroom. I think if the scene's important enough, they'll show it in the next movie, like at the beginning of the next movie, or you could always look it up on YouTube if you missed it. I know in Iron Man 1 that Nick Fury at post credit scene. If I missed it, I would have bought another ticket and went back to see it, just because that's the start of something, and YouTube wasn't,
It wasn't really
posting
around
stuff.
then.
Yeah.
Well, it was, but in its
But now,
embryonic
like, I think
stages.
post-credit scenes aren't that important, only because you could watch them at home if you missed them. I don't know.
That's fair. Was Far From Home technically a post-credit scene when we have JJ pop back up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was post-credit?
Yeah, that
Okay,
was
yeah.
post-credit. I mean, and it's significant. So I don't know. I have thought like you do right now. I've thought the way you do for a long time. I'm starting to wonder with them getting more and more significance at the end. It's starting to make me wonder if it's only fair, because is somebody who paid for a ticket unknowingly missing out? And are we like, I like the use of the term gatekeeper. Are we saying, well, if you're not a true hardcore nerd like us,
That's not what I
you
was
don't
saying.
Oh,
deserve
I know,
to
Rob.
It's a treat. It's a treat.
I'm just saying I don't want to be like, I'm not going to tell the people near me that they should sit down. I am that person who's like, you should stay. There's something that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
me too.
You know what I
Yeah,
would stay for after every movie is if they showed a gag reels. Those
They
I love
do a lot. I wish they would
I
do that.
love
I wish they would
those.
go back to
those.
that.
I think are better than post-credit scenes. Sometimes.
You know what it is now? They think, oh, we'll save that for
Yeah.
the special feature.
yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. There's no more.
I would stay for gag reels every time.
Yeah, me too.
Remember Pixar used to do fake
Yeah,
gag
yeah,
reels
they
at the
did.
end of all
They
their
were
films
so
too? They were
cute.
so good. The ones on Bug's Life was great.
They were really
That was
good.
a reason why you would buy a Blu-ray, because you would see
Yes.
gag reels on there.
Yes.
And you'd be like 4 minutes of
Dude,
that.
Ray, make sure you're
I don't
talking
need
into
a
your
also
mic.
buy a
I was
Blu-ray.
gonna say-
I'll just buy them.
Rob's getting all that media still.
Yeah,
Keeping the physical
I
media
am.
alive.
I got media yesterday.
Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, with post-credit scenes now actually starting to reveal not just something fun at the end, but something narratively important, are you evolving your thoughts on whether or not theater should let the audience know, hey, there's a post-credit scene for this? Or should it be left as what it has been traditionally, like this, a fun surprise that pops up? Whatever you guys are feeling about that right now, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's take a second, pay some bills, and thank the sponsor of today's show, the good folks over at Liquid IV. We want to take a minute and thank the sponsors of this video, Liquid IV. Now listen, just one stick of Liquid IV added to 16 ounces of water will hydrate you faster and more efficiently than just water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins like B3, B5, B6, B12, and of course vitamin C, with 3 times the electrolytes as traditional sports drinks. And what makes Liquid IV so effective is the science of cellular transport technology, or CTT. You see, it's designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into your bloodstream faster and more efficiently. It tastes great, and it's a great thing to take when you feel run down, you need your daily hydration boost, or even a little bit of hangover recovery. You know, Ann and I get up pretty early in the morning to go to the gym because we can't go to the gym at any other time during the day. And for the last couple of weeks, I have been drinking 1 full glass of water with Liquid IV, and all I can tell you is you can feel the difference during the workout. So go and grab Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code CAMPEA at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use the promo code CAMPEA, that's CAMPEA, at liquidiv.com. Experience better hydration today when you go to liquidiv.com, and remember, use the promo code at checkout, CAMPEA. All right, we want to thank Liquid IV for sponsoring the John Campea Show. And once again, don't forget, when you go over to liquidiv.com, do use that promo code CAMPEA. Not only are you going to save a bunch, it also helps out the channel at the same time. And thanks once again to Liquid IV. All right, with that down, guys, let's move on to main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one comes from Alan Walsh. Read a story about Peter Dinklage absolutely going off on the fact that they're making another Snow White movie. I hope I'm not misunderstanding him, but it seems like his problem is that he doesn't want the Snow White story told at all because of how dwarves are portrayed as 7 dwarves living in a cave together. I've never thought about it at all when thinking about Snow White. Is Dinklage right to be upset?
All right. Thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And yeah, look, there's few people in this world that I get as excited when they're going to be in an upcoming project as Peter Dinklage.
Absolutely.
I love this dude. And when Aaron, we've told this story, but when Aaron and I were at CinemaCon, there was a bunch of things that we knew about coming, and there's a few things that kind of came out of nowhere and surprised us. One of the things that they showed us was the new Peter Dinklage project, Cyrano.
Yes.
Playing on the classic Cyrano de Bergerac storyline. That, I think, might be, aside from comic book or sci-fi offerings, I think that might be my number one most anticipated movie of the year. Comic book and sci-fi stuff aside, it's Cyrano. I mean, they showed us like 10 minutes of it, and like Aaron and I were just both like, oh my God. Like, I'm already a fan of it. Whether you go back to Gerard Depardieu or you talk about Steve Martin's Roxanne, which, by the way, if you haven't seen Steve Martin's Roxanne with Daryl Hannah, you totally need to see Roxanne. It's great. But again, it's a play on that story, and I love it. And of course, he's won multiple Emmys for Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff. So they're making a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And apparently Peter Dinklage is very upset about it. And now this is what he had to say. This comes us from the folks over at Variety, quoting him. He's saying, "There's a lot of hypocrisy going on," Dinklage said. "Literally, no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback when they were proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, of course, the young woman who stars in West Side Story, big breakout role for her. But you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me," Dinklage continued. "You're progressive in one way, but then you're still making that fucking backwards story about seven dwarves living in a cave together. What the fuck are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. I'm just like, what are you doing?" So that comes to us again from Variety, quoting Peter Dinklage. And listen, I'll tell you what. I was a little taken aback by his comments here because look, let's be real here.
Hope he never goes to Moria.
Yeah. And I'll get to that in a second. But let's be real here. Everybody is sensitive about how their demographic is portrayed. And when I say everybody, I don't mean other people, everybody. I mean everybody, including everybody in this room, including everybody watching this. You may think you're not, but you really are. We all are to some degree.
Of course.
You know, when I see a stupid Italian on screen, I'm just like,
I get so mad.
I get so mad. Just like, come on, man.
When it's that boopity boppity shit, I'm like, oh, thank you so much for that.
Yes, that's great. Although I will say there's a Family Guy episode. You know the one I'm talking about? Yeah. Peter walks into an Italian restaurant. And he's like, "Don't worry, Brian, I got this." And he starts talking to the guy at the counter. A boopity boppity beepity boopity. And it's like, Peter, that's not how Italian works. But I got to admit, I laughed my ass off at that. But everybody is sensitive, including straight white males. Straight white males may be the most sensitive about how they're portrayed or whatever. But everybody is. And I guess for me, the reason I haven't really thought about this when I think about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or Lord of the Rings, The Mines of Moria, or any other type of fantasy is this. I don't think of fantasy dwarves as real. They're not real. I think of them in the same way I think of elves. You know, tall, skinny people are not elves, right? Elves are a fantasy. Elves are a thing.
Speak for yourself, pal.
So, in my way of thinking, the elves are fantasy. They're not real. The race of the dwarven race in fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, like Snow White, I do not think of them as Peter Dinklage is thinking of, that they are a representation of real life people. Plus, and a certain demographic of people in our real world.
Also, like the dwarves in Tolkien are badasses.
Yeah,
yes.
Yes.
They're you know, and my ox. Like no one looks at Gimli and goes, well, that guy's lesser than someone else. I mean,
nobody messes with the dwarves.
How many orcs they can kill at the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Nobody messes with the dwarves.
No, and you know, they the Mines of Moria, they're capable people.
Right.
And and I felt the same way. I mean, the dwarves in Snow White are industrious people. They're always going to work. You know, they're off to work they go.
And they can sing.
And they can sing, and they help Snow White. You know, but I understand where Peter Dinklage is coming from. I do. But like you said, I've never thought of fantasy fantasy, but then again, I'm not a little person, so
Right.
I don't know what that has meant to him throughout his life. But I've always thought of dwarves as being badasses. I've always liked them. So,
But is it verbiage? Is it because we use the word dwarf in real world stuff? Some people use that term. Is that why there's association? Because again, I have never in my life, honestly, until Peter brought it up, and I mean, and this is because I'm not. Until Peter brought it up, I never ever once equated in my head the dwarves in Lord of the Rings, the dwarves in Snow White, as being a counterpart to real life little people in our
Right.
world. I've never considered that at all for a second. But I'm not in his shoes, right? I'm not. I don't live his experience.
That's
I
right.
live a totally different experience. So I confess, I don't know how to feel about Peter's kind of statement here. Because on the one hand, I'm like, well, it's not. The 7 dwarves in Snow White aren't like dwarves the way people think of them. It's a totally separate fantasy race. It's a completely different species. But at the same time, I go, I'm not in his shoes, though, so I'm not sure how I feel about this. Chris, you read Peter's statements here. What was your reaction to it? What was your initial kind of reaction to it when you read what he said?
Very similar to y'all in that, thinking of these fantasy stories of... I love the dwarves. I think they're the most badass characters ever in Lord of the Rings. It's why my furry son is named Gimli. But like
Gimli,
you guys,
son of Gloin.
Gimli, son of Gloin. He's not as badass though. He doesn't have an axe. It's really disappointing. But like you all are saying, it is not my experience, and it's also not my place to tell somebody whether or not they are offended about how their experience could be portrayed.
Right.
I can understand if it is something you think of the Disney animated version, right? Where everyone's just kind of known by some weird little trait of like being sleepy or dopey or something like that. How that can kind of go down that rabbit hole of being incredibly offensive if it's just these kind of caricatures.
Right.
I'm hoping that's not the case, but I can understand being very, very wary of this, considering how much work Dinklage has done to be seen as an actor first, a person first, and not have, these roles that typically in the past have been very, very caricature-y. He's
Right.
turned down all of those, or he's kind of put things on their head or found things that are elevated. He has done a lot of work. So I can understand his kind of rage here. Rage is an extreme word, but there's a lot of F-bombs in there. I can understand his frustration. There we go.
Rob, you like listening to him talk about, obviously he's very passionate about this, clearly. Does he have a point to make? Should we look at how, even in the realm of fantasy, whether it's Lord of the Rings or Snow White, should we start looking at this character type of the dwarf? Should we start looking at them and maybe treating them differently?
It's a tough call. I mean, I think that the easy answer would be to say yes. I mean, I absolutely do, because, it's not like any human being that is outside of what we would call normal or the general population has an experience that I personally wouldn't know. And his experience can't be devalued and I'm sure in his life, he personally has had to put up with all kinds of horrible
all kinds
prejudice,
of crap.
And I think one of the great things about Tyrion Lannister as a character, and like when I first saw Peter Dinklage, I think it was in The Station Agent.
Oh, so
that
good.
Film. Such a great movie. And it's funny because I don't think of Peter. The first thing I think about when I think of Peter Dinklage is not that he is a little person. I think of him as Tyrion Lannister, who should have won the Game of Thrones. If I had made the show, he would have won it, because he was the most badass guy. But and I've also never thought of the dwarves in Snow White as being anything. I mean, they have traits that people have, but I've never thought of them as being lesser people. I'm like, they're awesome, and because I grew up reading Tolkien, Tolkien's work, the dwarves were awesome too. But maybe the Time Bandits were kind of not as awesome, but I still like them. So I think that he has a good point, and it's something that should be considered.
Guys, question is for you. What do you think about Peter Dinklage's statements here. Are you like me and you thought, I've never even thought of dwarves in these movies and fantasy stories as being real? I mean, there was a totally separate species. It's a fantasy species just like orcs, just like elves, not real.
Or giants.
Or giants. Whereas Peter Dinklage has lived a very different experience than us, and he looks at that and says, guys, wake up to it. I don't know. What do you guys think about what it is he said there? Has it caught you a little bit off guard? Has it made you think? Whatever you guys are thinking about this right now, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
Third topic is from the antagonistic Anonymous. Recently in an interview, Eternal's effects supervisor, Stephen Soretti, confirmed that he will also be the VFX supervisor for the upcoming Marvel Studios movie Blade, on which he further elaborated that he is currently expanding on the effects of Ebony Blade for the Blade movie. The Ebony Blade was last seen in Eternal's post-credit scene in which Kit Harington's character, Dane Whitman, was about to pick up the blade until he was interrupted by Mahershala Ali's blade. Do you think the effects supervisor working on the effects for Ebony Blade indicated that Kit Harington's character might be involved with Mahershala Ali's in Blade?
You ever hear a piece of information and then you feel instantly stupid that you didn't think of that before? This is the case with me reading this information. Now, of course, what he's referring to, what Anonymous is referring to there in the message is that for those of you guys who stuck around for the post-credit scene in Eternals, you know the Kit Harington, he's pacing around the room. He's got to find Cersei, but he's got something that maybe he can do, but he doesn't know what he wants to do it. He opens the case, and there's the blade. And it has this really cool, almost Terminator 2 kind of life to it, and then it actually starts, you hear the whispers, almost like the Ring of Power whispering to Frodo a little bit. And then, of course, we hear the voice of Mahershala Ali, who is Blade. If you're not a moron, you would instantly think, gosh, I guess Black Knight is going to show up in the Blade movie. I never did. I thought, okay, Black Knight is showing up in the MCU. Cool. Weird that Mahershala Ali's the guy to be in that scene with them, but whatever. This is one of those things that I just completely whipped on. It's like I never even thought about the connection until now, when actually somebody working on it is kind of implying that, of course, that sword is going to be in Blade. Anyway, this comes to us from the folks over at Heroic Hollywood who write the following. The Eternals post-credit scene has led to speculation that Kit Harington's Black Knight will make his next MCU appearance in Blade. Well, of course, everybody thought that except me. I'm sure I'm glad I'm getting caught up, though. Marvel Studios VFX supervisor Stephen Soretti has now added some fuel to the fire, telling comicbook.com that Black Knight's weapon will appear in Blade. The funny thing is, my second on the show, which is Martin Lawrence, my additional supervisor, is actually going to be supervising Blade very soon. So I told him, I said, I'm giving that to you as a gift. Use it wisely and make good out of it. But I'm sure it's going to do actually even better. Because earlier in the statement, he was talking about how he got the visual effect of the sword and all that kind of stuff. And he's passing it on now. So the first and most immediate question is, if the sword is going to be in Blade, which seems to be a foregone conclusion, does that necessarily mean Black Knight is going to be in Blade? Or does Mahershala Ali's blade just show up there at the end of the Eternals to take the sword off of Kit Harington's hands? I can't see them doing that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's like having Ant-Man show up in a post-credit scene of an Avengers movie to take Mjolnir away. And without Thor. I mean, it just doesn't seem to make sense. So yes, for me, I'm like, oh yeah, Black Knight is going to be, probably the next time we're going to see Black Knight is going to be in Blade, unless, of course, Blade doesn't come out for like 3 more years and we get another Eternals movie first, in which case we might see him there. But yeah, and listen, I never would have thought of this pairing, Rob. This is not, like, Black Knight with Blade is not a pairing I would have thought of coming into the MCU at anything. What do you think about this? Does this automatically mean, do you think that Kit Harington is in Blade? And if so, what do you think about this pairing up?
I think yes. This Blade, the sword has a deep connections to a lot of the Marvel universe, even symbiotes, and it's cursed. And they're going in on the supernatural in a big way in the MCU. You've already got Agatha Harkness. You have the Darkhold in Moon Knight. it appears that we're going to get a little taste of Werewolf by Night, because
Yep.
that's where Moon Knight debuted. So I think that Blade and the Black Knight together, if they make a Blade movie, I think they're going to lean heavily into the past, and we might get something that, I don't know, 15th century that shows, or even earlier, where this blade, where the Dark Knight's blade came from, how it connects to the rest of the MCU. And I'm sure there's a lot of vampire mythology. It's not going to be the R-rated slaughter fest that Wesley Snipes' Blade was. I think they're going to lean more into the gothic horror of it all, and Mountains of Carpathia type stuff that'll then be brought into the modern age. And I think part of that, you're going to see Dane's ancestors wield that blade and find out how maybe vampires fought or something. But I think it's almost guaranteed that we're going to see the Black Knight in the Blade movie.
Yeah, which I think probably most people should have assumed after that post-credit scene.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I did.
I did not. Chris, you're seeing this. Number one, do you think a pairing of Kit Harington and Mahershala Ali can work? Do you interpret this as being pretty much confirmation that we're going to see Black Knight in Blade? And if so, is that a good thing, bad thing? How are you seeing this?
Oh, yes, and a good thing. I freaked out at the end, that post-credit scene, which I guess that's another plot one. So yeah, we should know about these post-credit scenes, guys. Gonna go back on my answer. We got to say there's a post-credit scene. It's important to the narrative. I'm very excited about it. I think this is going to be a great pairing, especially because Kit Harington's Dane that we've seen so far is just kind of the sweet boy who just wants to be nice to his girlfriend. And that curse of the Ebony Blade is going to make him more bloodthirsty and more brutal, and pairing him up with Blade the character then, which, sorry if that question was confusing. By the way, I was saying Blade every time. I felt like when a word stops sounding like what it means, that's how I felt. But pairing them together as he goes on that journey, I think is going to be so interesting narratively. It's going to be such a really cool character study, seeing that descent into violence. I love the description of gothic horror, Rob. I think that's exactly what we're going to.
Yeah, I think so too, because they can do that without. We're not going to get, I don't think, an R-rated slaughter fest like the beginning of the Norrington's Blade, which I'm there for, or Guillermo del Toro's. It's got to be more hammer horror as opposed to graphic horror.
You know what?
Totally agree.
I also had just brought up this image on screen here with Kit Harington and Cersei. What's the actress's Gemma Chan?
Gemma Chan. Mm-hmm.
Can I just say, like, you know me, I am notoriously, I don't care about romances and comic book movies. There's very, very few that I've liked. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in The Amazing Spider-Man, obviously Tony and Pepper. But there are two in Eternals that I really quite liked. We always talk about Makari and why am I freezing on poor man's Bono? The guy who can control people's minds.
Oh yeah.
Druig?
What Druid? Yeah, Druig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Druig and Makari. I love Druig and Makari.
Yeah.
I that's one of my favorite romance relationships ever. But let me just say, Gemma Chan's and Kit Harington's chemistry, I loved it.
So good.
It was really, really good, right? And so at the end, when they're finally getting that level in their relationship and they're coming clean with each other, and he's about to tell her, there's something you should know. And then Arishem the judge has to pop up in the sky above everybody and take him away. So I really like that too. So I hope, and this is a little selfish, but I hope that if it is true and Black Knight is going to be in Blade, man, I really hope Cersei's in it too. I hope they work out or able to function or somewhat. Maybe Blade and him work out a bargain. I will help you with this if you help me with this. Although what a vampire can do about Arishem the judge, I have no idea. But still, I hope they go in that direction. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? Are you like everybody else in the world and you instantly knew at the Eternals post-credit scene that Black Knight was going to be in Blade? Were you a little slow like me? And it's like, oh yeah, of course that's what's going to happen. Whatever you guys are feeling about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4, shall we? Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
Coming in from Alton Wang, Variety had just said that Chris Evans will join The Rock in the holiday movie called Red One. This movie is being produced by the Rock movie company 7 Buck Production and Amazon Studios. This movie will be written by Chris Morgan, who wrote some of the Fast and Furious movies. Hobbs and Shaw, the only one I've seen, The Fate of the Furious, Furious 7, Fast and Furious 6, and Fast 5. Could it be a sleeper and any good?
All right, thanks a lot for saying that in. And listen, two of my favorite guys in the business, Well, I mean, my two favorite guys in the business are Ryan Reynolds and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But one of the other guys who's right up there is Chris Evans. I adore Chris Evans. Actually, a couple of my favorite experiences ever in this career have been with Chris Evans. I did the very first interview. I was with Chris at the very first public screening of Captain America: The First Avenger. It was in San Diego. They played for an audience there. And then afterwards, there was only 3 outlets that got to interview Chris Evans after that first public screening. One was CNN, one was CBS, and one was me. And I got to interview. And it was the first time I got to talk to Chris, and we talked a lot about the Losers, which I think is a very underrated movie with one of the most incredible casts as you look back on it. And then, of course, this one's kind of infamous. It's the one when I sat down and talked to Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth at the same time. And I'm not saying they were high, but they were high.
And high on life, man.
It was like 15 minutes of some of the hardest laughter I've had in my life. It was one of the, it's the only interview I think I ever did that's worth a damn. And that's up there. Anyway, I love Chris Evans. Of course, he is Captain America. He is Steve Rogers, and he will make his triumphant return to the MCU. You mark my words on it. He will be back. But, it's really interesting watching what he's done outside of that. A lot of people love Snowpiercer. I guess where a lot of people thought, oh my God, this guy's actually really great. He's got that show on Apple Plus that a lot of people really liked.
Yeah.
Defending Jacob?
Yes, that's it exactly.
Gosh, it was good.
He's done a lot of really cool stuff. And now he's joining up with The Rock to do not Red Notice 2, Red 1, which is not in any way connected to Red Notice 2. What is Red 1? Well, this comes to us from Variety, who writes, Chris Evans will join Dwayne Johnson in Amazon Studios' upcoming holiday film, Red 1. I'm guessing it's a Santa Claus designation. Anyway, Red 1. Amazon Studios is developing the feature project, which is based on an original story by Hiram Garcia, president of production at 7 Bucks Productions. That's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's production company. The film, which aims to shoot this year, is described as a globe-trotting, 4-quadrant action-adventure comedy imagining a whole new universe to explore within the holiday genre. A globe-trotting, 4-quadrant action-adventure comedy. Of course it's comedy. Imagining a whole new universe to explore with the holiday genre.
Get off my sled. That's the first thing I could think of. Is
I would watch the hell out of that
Air
movie.
Force One, Red One.
Oh.
It's Santa Claus.
It's Red 1, not Air Force One. Look, I had 2 instant thoughts of this. First thought was Chris Evans and Dwayne Johnson in a movie together. Now, I also had that same feeling about Red Notice with Ryan and Dwayne together in Red Notice, and that movie ended up being quite disappointing. But still, Chris Evans, Dwayne Johnson, together in a movie, sign me up. And then I read a globe-trotting, 4-quadrant action-adventure comedy, imagining the whole new universe. You know what that description sounds like? It sounds like a movie where a dumb studio executive is pitching a movie to another dumb studio executive, and that's the kind of movie they explain. I don't know. Listen, I got a lot of faith in Amazon Studios. I mean, ever since they did The Big Sick, which is
So
honestly one of the best movies of the past 10 years. I mean, I love that
And
movie.
Manchester by the Sea, I think, was Amazon Studios.
Was that? Yeah,
too.
that was also an Amazon
That was
Studios
really
one,
good
which
as
has
well.
also got a lot of awards and stuff like
Yeah.
that. They do good stuff. I mean, not everything they do is great, but they do good stuff. So that sounds good. I'd be lying to you though if I said that this made me excited. I mean, that initial excitement kind of gets quashed. Like as soon as I hear Chris Evans, Dwayne Johnson, Red 1, I'm like, okay. A globe-trotting, 4-quadrant action-adventure comedy, fun for the whole family. I'm like, I don't know. Look, I might be nitpicking on that a little bit too much. This could be fabulous, Rob. You hear about this. What's your reaction to it right now?
If it's holiday themed and red is in the title, I can't help but think Christmas. It's got to be some kind of a Christmas thing. And if it's the two of them and it's a reimagining, maybe Santa is a secret agent. Or some contingent of the North Pole. Maybe the North Pole has their own secret service.
I'll tell you right now.
Or their own army.
If Dwayne Johnson ends up being Santa Claus, I'm checking out. I'm saying that right now. I'm instantly going to check out of Dwayne Johnson.
I don't know. Look,
I'm gonna watch it
really
even
liked
harder.
those.
Yes.
I really like the Kurt Russell Christmas movies.
Christmas Chronicles.
I thought those. I like Kurt Russell as Santa Claus more than I thought I would, and I'm a sucker for Christmas movies. I will watch this develop with curiosity. I'm not going to write it off yet. I kind of want to see
What was the
it
name?
is.
I don't know that any of you guys will remember this, but there was a Christmas movie, a low budget Christmas movie that came out a few years ago where Santa was actually a demon. And like every Christmas he goes out and hunts children, and it's like kind of a twist on the thing. I'm trying. It didn't have
Krampus, right?
No. That's the opposite of Krampus. But I think Goldberg starred in it. I think Goldberg was Santa Claus. Somebody in the live chat has to know what I'm talking about. Where Goldberg was actually Santa Claus. Was it Santa's sleigh? Was
Rare
that
Export.
Oh, that sounds.
Rare Exports? Was that?
No, Rare
that not
Exports. Rare Exports is a great movie, though.
Thank you, Megan, for suggesting
People are
that.
saying
though.
it's Santa's
I love you.
sleigh. Okay, I gotta look up Holmes.
By the way, if anybody wants to read a book, it's really hard to find now. But get a book. Get a book by Robert Devereaux called Santa Steps Out.
Oh yeah, here it is. Santa's
Like from his
sleigh.
job or his family.
Yeah.
His family.
Like Santa goes
He
to get a
takes
pack of
up with-
cigarettes and never
He takes
comes
up
back.
with the Tooth Fairy. And horrible things ensue.
Nicholas Claus.
If I was given an unlimited amount of money, one of the first things I would make is Santa Steps Out.
Okay, so here's the one I was thinking about. Everybody pointed out it was called Santa's Sleigh, and it stars Bill Goldberg as Santa Claus. Santa Claus is actually a demon who lost a bet with an angel, so he becomes the giver of toys and happiness. But when the bet is off, he returns to his evil ways.
I'd watch that.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That
check
sounds
that
fun.
out.
This is a movie
I'll
that
check
you
that out.
cancel your plans tonight to sit down
yeah.
and watch
Right?
together with everybody, right? I mean,
Who
why not?
directed it?
Oh, that's the big thing. David Steinman directed it, who also directed films such as, oh my God, no. I was gonna say he directed Inspector Gadget. No, he was additional crew. He was additional crew on Inspector Gadget, additional crew on Castaway,
Oh, wow.
and additional crew on Rush Hour 2.
He went up.
Wow.
You two to director.
And Santa
Yeah.
Sleigh is the only thing he did after
First,
that?
I'm trying to see so he's got a lot of credits for additional crew. He's got one director's credit, and that's Santa's
God
Santa's
bless him.
Sleigh. He
one,
also wrote
one
it.
credit for now.
What's that?
Right,
One
for
credit
now.
for now. That us mentioning that right now is going to bust his career
Wide open.
wide open. Anyway, Aaron.
I'm Chris.
Sorry, you're Chris.
Gosh, I would kill you, Aaron.
Aaron
So
would
gorgeous.
be here. Well, Aaron will be here tomorrow.
I'm so excited.
You know, you're hearing this, okay? Chris Evans, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Sounds great. You hear this? I don't know. Are you excited about this? What does this sound like
Of
to
course
you?
I'm excited. I'm such a Christmas idiot. I don't know if you all remember this. I'll watch any Christmas movie and I'll do it with abandon and just be so filled with joy the whole time. I watched Noelle like 7 times last year. I think this is adorable. Although the globetrotting description does make me think of the Chipmunks Adventure movie. Do you guys remember that from
yep,
the 80s?
yep.
Of just like, we're going across the globe and we're going on an adventure. It does have that kind of vibe. But I'd watch it. And also, if The Rock is Santa, I'm just more excited. He's Beyonce for boys. Like,
He's Beyonce for boys.
Did you see his
He's
Instagram
incredible.
post where his daughter has a? I think it was put up today, where his daughter has a piece of aluminum foil that's full of peanut butter, and they play a game where he has to shut his eyes, and his daughter comes up and smashes the peanut butter in his face.
She's the only human being in the world who can do that.
I'm telling you, I'm there for Dwayne the Rock Johnson's
What a good
Instagram.
dad.
That's actually training to be a wrestler or what?
No, she's like
the older
10.
one. Oh, okay.
She's younger than that. But it was adorable.
see, that's good parenting, not having your daughter kick trees down like y'all told me about yesterday.
but then she becomes world champion.
Now she's going to be an
Valentina.
adorable human being who likes peanut butter.
Yeah, so guys, anyway, the question is for you. What do you think about the sounds of Red One? I'm a little mixed. I mean, on the one hand, Dwayne The Rock Johnson with Chris Evans. Are you kidding me? Sign me up. Then again, it's a globetrotting action adventure, a whole new universe, a holiday fun. I don't know. You know what? It's got Tooth Fairy. It's got Tooth Fairy stench to me.
Oh my God.
It's got a little bit of Tooth Fairy stench to me. I don't know. Hope
Hobbs
I'm wrong.
and Steve, baby.
You got
Hobbs and Rogers.
Hobbs and Rogers.
Holiday Christmas.
Sign me up. Why
Where
not?
in the world is Hobbs and Rogers?
Guys, the question for you is, what do you think about this? Maybe you're excited about it. Maybe like, I don't know. Like Chris just said she liked Noelle. So I'm not quite sure what to do with that
Is
as a
that
person.
going to get me kicked off the show now?
I'm just,
it was a fun run, you guys.
I just don't know what to do with that as a person. It's just,
It's adorable and delightful, and I'll watch Bill Hader read the phone book. I love him.
I love The Holiday.
I loved everybody in it.
The holiday.
I like The Holiday too.
The Holiday's really good.
Anyway, guys, what do you think about all this? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With all that down, we're not going to jump in and start taking your live questions that you guys sent in. Let's jump over to it right now. We're going to start things off here. Wanda Blackwell just sent in a $5 super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Wanda. Stephen DeLent Wouters writes, Batgirl news. I just learned that the movie will have an openly trans character called Alicia Yo, played by real-life trans person Ivory Aquino. Yeah, I read about that in the thing the other day. Listen, I can't think of other than Supergirl on television, because they brought in the first trans character, I believe.
Yeah, to play Dreamer.
Yeah, to play Dreamer. So you, at some point, you have to introduce these characters, I think, into the motion things. Why not a WB? An HBO Max movie like Batgirl. Stephen Lynn Wenders also writes, I'm following development on Batgirl a bit closer than most because directors Arby, I've never pronounced their names right, by the way, Arby and Falah are Belgian, which is a pretty big deal in my country. Well, Stefan, I wouldn't know anything about that because it's not like every time anybody who's remotely Canadian comes up on the show, I don't stop and make sure I point out, also a good Canadian kid. So yes, you feel proud about that. Damn right. You got some Belgian representation in there. You be proud of that stuff and you sing it from the rooftops, brother, because I do it all the time. All right, next up, we got Cutter Hale who writes, my local theater has the employees do a speech before every showing of every movie, going over the rules, and they do inform the audience if there are any post-credit scenes. Shout out to the Grand Avenue. First of all, I love that because the ArcLight Cinema, which no longer exists, thank you so much, pandemic.
Why do you have to rub it in, John?
But they used to have somebody come into the theater and say, hey, we're glad, thanks for coming to the ArcLight. This movie is such and such. Here's the runtime of it. If there's any problems with the picture quality, sound, anything else interfere with your enjoyment, make sure you come and talk to us. Please make sure you turn your phones off. You know what I found? It makes a world of difference when an actual human being stands at the front of a cinema and says, can you guys make sure you keep your phones away? People keep their phones away when that happens. You know who does that as well? I'm not a huge fan of the Alamo Drafthouse, but they do some things really, really well. And that's one of them. They don't mess around with the Alamo Drafthouse.
No.
They're like, you are a sorry fucking son of a bitch if you take your phone. Like they like,
Eat your goddamn fried pickles and shut the hell up.
Yeah, they're totally, and I love that about that. Mm-hmm. So I love that they do that, and I love that they do let people know that, hey, there's going to be a post-credit scene. So yes, Cutter Hale, big shout out to the folks at the Grand Avenue. Thanks for sharing that, man. All right, next up, Guillaume Lebel writes, breaking news, John. It was just announced that Quebec will reopen its theaters at limited capacity. Scream and the Batman, Here I Come. Does that mean the folks in Quebec can finally watch Spider-Man? Because I think the theaters actually got shut down pretty close to when Spider-Man was opening up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so, but this is good. We heard from one of our viewers yesterday in Norway that the Norway theaters are opening up. Quebec has had their theater shut down. I know Ontario, I think, had, at least to some degree, they had them shut down. Things opening back up. This is good news. I hope you have fun watching that stuff, Guillaume. All right. Cam K writes, with Scream, I'm not going to say who the killer is. I won't even say if they were taller or smaller. But man, was there a height difference between the reveal and the stunt double behind the mask? Dude, I'll tell you what. When the reveal, listen, I liked Scream. I did. I had fun with it. It's the first time I've liked a Scream movie since the original. And I had fun with it. That said, when the reveals start to happen, you go, that makes some things that happen in this movie make no sense whatsoever. Like, none. And again, I want to talk about it so bad, but I cannot because for those of you who haven't seen Scream yet. But yeah, certain things happened that just made it make no sense whatsoever. A. Marcellus writes, I'm wondering if Cal Kestis, which is the Jedi character in Jedi Fallen Order, will make it out alive and become yet another Jedi that was alive during the original trilogy era, or if Vader will get him this time. One of the frustrating things for me, Rob, I don't know how you feel about this, about the Star Wars expanded universe, as you will, is that it went from in the original trilogy, there's none left. It's Obi-Wan. And that's why he's been looking after Luke, because he's our last hope. No, there is another. Okay, Leia too, I suppose, if you need to. But that's it, right? Sorry, Disney is just writing me. Oh, we'll talk about that later. Okay, so that's it. There are no other Jedi. That's the key thing about understanding. The Jedi are gone. But as the expanded universe stuff says, well, there's actually this other Jedi. And there's something, well, now there's this other Jedi. Turns out there are 78 other Jedis running around the universe all at the same time. And Obi-Wan just didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. Sorry, I'm trying to swear less on the show.
And Grand Moff Tarkin says,
oh, yeah,
all that is left,
of their dying religion.
It was Obi-Wan and Vader. They were the last Jedi.
That was it. You are the last of your order. And like, no, they were all just clueless. There were actually 238 other Jedi running around at the same time.
The galaxy's kind of big.
Well, the galaxy is big, but I just assume Vader's not incompetent. But
that's
I
fair.
know.
When you can literally feel another Force user, you would think you'd be a bit aware.
Yes. It's a presence I've not felt since lunch? Because there's like 1,000 of them running around. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let's move on here. What's next? Andy writes, like the Yesterday/Universal situation, I'm suing Warner Brothers for false advertising of the Suicide Squad. John Cena was nowhere to be seen in that film.
Yeah. Keep it
By the
going,
way, I
baby.
did text you the Ana de Armas deleted scene is on the physical media. It's on, so
which doesn't help you if you paid to rent the movie, but yes.
No, it's true, but I think that suit has very little merit.
I think it has. I think there's something to it. I think a message needs to be sent to the studios. You can't lie to the audience. Don't lie to the audience. But I wanted to bring up this one thing. I did get an interesting text message yesterday from a friend of ours in the movie industry. I won't say who it was, but they did bring this up. Watching your show, it's funny because I worked on LA Story, and the trailers for that not only had Jonathan Lithgow, who is not in the movie, but he's actually listed in the trailer credits. And then he sent me a screenshot. I'll hold this up to you. He sent me a screenshot of the credits that actually has Jonathan Lithgow.
Wow.
In the movie as well. It's like, I never even knew about that. So interesting stuff all around. All right. Next up. Who was that? That was Andy. Andy also writes, that number 7 of the 7 stream shows that beat out Lucifer is Supernatural. Of course, Sam and Dean would beat out the devil on their own show or in streaming.
Aww.
Damn right, Supernatural. Again, that is one of the more interesting things that came up in the show yesterday was the fact that, okay, Lucifer was the number 1 streaming show of the year. But it wasn't the number 1 overall show that was streaming. It was the number 1 original streaming show. But the top 7 shows were shows that were cataloged from network television. Shows like Criminal Minds. Which was the number 1 show overall, was Criminal Minds. And Supernatural's up there. It just goes to show that everybody thinks that nobody watches the network television show and stuff anymore. Actually, by a mile. That it still gets the majority of people watching.
I would think watching network shows on streaming would be infinitely more desirable because there's no commercials.
Yeah, that could be.
That's true.
So you can just binge.
It's so fun when it hits the commercial mark, though, and there's like this look where they're like, it's supposed to be a cliffhanger and jumps right back in.
I love that.
I love that moment.
All right, next up, James Argento writes, after 4 episodes of Boba, I still think Kira is in it, since it sounds like the Crimson Dawn theme at the 1 minute and 48 second mark of the main theme. Listen, Kira, who of course played in Solo by
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke, thank you. I was going to say the Mother of Dragons. Emilia Clarke. And by the way, I like Solo, A Star Wars Story. I thought that was
love it. It's
I thought it was a
I
good
liked
little
it too.
movie. I enjoyed it. And I thought she was quite good. And I really did like that last scene with her and Maul. I thought that was kind of fun. A lot of people speculate that we might see Kira in this. Maybe. I mean, they keep hinting at something big. Maybe it's Harrison Ford at the end, which I don't think it's going to be, but it could be. Maybe it's her. So hey, that could be on the books. That could be on the books, James. Anish writes, maybe out of left field, but how about Riz Ahmed as a contender for Bond? He's British, 39 years old, and phenomenal actor. Check him out in The Sound of Metal. Oh no, Sound of Metal. I don't know if you guys watch Sound of Metal.
Oh yeah,
It's a
great.
beautiful film.
And he's great
so well
in it.
done.
One of my favorite scenes of that year was the scene when he's in the doctor's office and the doctor is first communicating to him like, no, like you don't understand. There's no getting this back. You're losing your hearing. And his performance in that was great. He's got another show on right now that I haven't watched yet, but it's getting a lot of acclaim. A lot of people are talking about it, where he's like got his sons and there's some kind of alien invasion. or whatever. Encounter. Thank you. I haven't watched it yet myself, but I hear some pretty good things about it. So he's great. Yeah, I mean, put him in the list too. If they announced him tomorrow as the new James Bond, I'd be okay with it. What about you?
I would love that. I think he's an incredible actor.
He's very good. Rob?
Why not?
Why not indeed? All right, next up, we've got Ryan Gerger, who writes, first time seeing Chris Carr yesterday. Yes, go have a cook-off between Chris and Ray. I'm telling you, I think that would become the #1 viewed video on the John Campea
I want it so
YouTube
much.
channel.
I got home and my husband was just like, yes, you have to do it.
Actually, that could be.
We do like a little chopped thing.
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
chopped
you and I could
competition.
shoot it. Multiple cameras at the same time, and
Yep, and be the
Oh.
judges.
Okay, that's where I would probably lose, because I've worked in a kitchen before. That's how I knew it wasn't cut out for me. Whenever there's like pressure,
Oh, when the pressure's on?
or I'm
what
timed,
kind of defeatist attitude is
Or-
that?
or-
Ray
when-
is the king of defeated.
I know.
or when I'm timed, it's just way too fast. I like to take hours.
'Cause
and
here's what I would do.
hours.
Well,
Here's
Ray,
how
we
I would
can't
do
all
it.
be winners. So,
I would
I guess
I put Ray and Chris at the island in my kitchen and say, all right, you have to create a appetizer and entree from a can of tomato paste,
Oh,
chickpeas, rack of lamb,
Okay.
hot dogs, and licorice. And you have to use
Yeesh.
every ingredient
Oh.
in both the appetizer and the entree. You have 16 minutes. Go.
sweet.
And let's see who makes a good thing. I would love that. I think that'd
I
be a
think
lot
it'd
of
be
fun.
fun.
Take a lot of production.
licorice.
I don't know. M&Ms. And M&M.
You have to have at least one in there that's really
One's
messed
got
up,
to be
though.
like right out of there in
Yeah.
left field, right?
Okay, fine.
Maybe we'll come up with something like that. All right. Next up, we've got Ryan Lohner, who writes, every time Peacemaker has a bad landing, you feel it. Cena clearly knows exactly how that feels. I'll tell you what, I am so glad Peacemaker does that, because like there's all these things where people, not with superpowers, like get thrown incredible distances or have to jump out of a big thing. Peacemaker has to jump from like balcony to this thing, and you feel like Anne was watching him acting that impact and hit the ground. Like Anne was like, I almost can't watch, because like, and you feel that thud. Then though, in episode 4, as he's hunting down Judo Master, he literally jumps out of a window and lands in the superhero pose. So it's like
He's in the zone.
little inconsistency there. Little inconsistency. By the way, have I mentioned that new episode of Peacemakers tomorrow night? Love me some Peacemaker. All right, next up. Casey Mack writes, and tips in like $20. Thank you, Casey, to supporting the channel on that level, man. John, just heard that they moved Ron Howard's 13 Lives, the movie about the Thai cave rescue, from Easter weekend to November 14th due to great test scores. Looks like they want to put this out for award season next year. That's great, except, now listen, I love Ron Howard. He is one of the great filmmakers of our era. He really is. Backdraft, baby. Backdraft. He is one of the great filmmakers of our
Night
era.
Shift. Bill Blazejowski.
But there is another Ron Howard film that they moved and used the reasoning we wanted to get award season stuff. I think that was it at any rate. And it was that damn Moby Dick movie he did
Heart
with
of the
Chris
Sea.
Hemsworth. What was it called again?
Heart of the Sea.
Heart of the Sea.
We said it
with
at the same time.
a young
Jinx.
Tom Holland and Chris Hemsworth. And I was so excited. We had Ron Howard on our show talking about it. And then I was so excited for this movie. It looked like it had Oscars written all over it. Oh, that movie was a bag of crap.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, it's so bad. It's so, did you ever see it?
I didn't like it. I
didn't like it?
really
What?
wanted. I really wanted to love
I
it.
wanted
too.
to-
Flew completely under my radar. I have no idea.
Just
what
as well.
this is.
Let it,
It's not. I think a lot of people's radar.
yeah, let's swim under the
It's there at all.
boat. It was not good. But listen, this does sound good. This whole thing sounds good. So I mean, I'll keep my fingers crossed, but I'm not going to get too excited because I've seen this movie before. All right. Andy writes, 1 of 3. Random movie crossovers. Dallas Buyers Fight Club. I like that one. Terminator Dark Fate of the Furious. That's not bad. Avengers Age of Adeline.
Hey, man,
That's the
Age
best
of
one so-
Adeline is a wonderful film. If you haven't seen it, it stars Blake Lively and even Harrison
Yep.
Ford's in it. It's so good.
But-
Why were there so many
Avengers-
ads for it this past year, though? Like on social media, it was constantly like, you should watch this movie.
It's
Really?
so
I haven't
good.
heard anybody
It's
talk
one of
about
my
it
favorite.
forever.
I call it a time travel movie, but it's more of an immortal movie.
Can I just say Blake Lively is... Blake Lively, I think, is one of those people where she's so attractive, I think it makes people miss how good of an actress she is.
Oh, I
She's
think
really
so.
good.
She's incredible. She's
Did
a
you
wonderful
see-
actress.
I don't think we've ever talked. Did you ever see A Simple Favor
Yes.
with her and Anna Kendrick?
I love that movie.
So good. But this thing, she's so stupidly attractive that I think it makes people miss how good of an actress she is. At any rate, Transformers: The Green Knight. That's not bad. Star Wars Episode 7, The Fargo Awakens. That one's not so good. The Raid, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh.
Let's see, 50 Shades Free Guy.
In.
And my favorite, The Twilight Saga, New Moonfall.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, I got to show you guys something.
The rumbling.
So when you guys came in, you probably saw, I don't know if you saw, Ray, you saw it. I bought Anne. Let me see if I can bring this up
A
on
big
the
one.
Oh, yeah,
sheet.
The big poster, yeah.
I bought Anne. You gotta understand, my wife Anne, her absolute favorite thing in the world is Big. And Tom Hanks is her absolute favorite human being in the world. Now, it took me a while, but I found an actual theater-used original poster of Big. Took it, got it framed, and I presented it to Anne, right?
Aw.
So you can see that on the monitor there, right, Ray?
Get you someone who looks at you like Anne looks at Tom Hanks.
Yes, get somebody,
Man.
not the way Anne looks at John. Find yourself someone who looks at you the way Anne looks at Tom Hanks. So I got her that, right? Okay, cool. Rob, you won't be able to see this, but somebody then did this.
Yeah.
One of our viewers,
Yeah.
That's
One of
what
our
I'm
viewers-
talking about.
who was it? BMW, Bobby Michael Will,
Awesome.
took that
Yeah.
image
That is
Well
the
done,
best
Bobby.
Photoshopped,
thought ever.
That's the greatest
photoshopped
one.
in
I know.
Moonfall.
Don't
which-
sleep on Moonfall, people.
Don't
It's gonna
sleep on
change your life.
Moonfall.
There was this other one too. It says Big over Spider-Man's crotch. There's that too. But the Moonfall one, I am always amazed by the creativity of our audience to come up with this like stuff randomly. But yeah, that Moonfall one.
Man,
You
that's
know,
so good. That's so
Lionsgate.
clever.
Why is this show not sponsored? I hope next week Lionsgate comes in for the big win and we get sponsored by Moonfall.
Do you know I
dream.
was on Lionsgate's payroll? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. That's right. When we were doing the
Yeah, some people don't remember this. I took Lionsgate started this thing called Comic-Con HQ.
Yep.
It was supposed to be a new streaming network.
Oh, okay.
Right? And they had a new show from Mark Hamill, and they had a couple of guys from Supernatural, and they were doing all this sort of thing, and they hired me. And we started a show on
I was on
Comic-Con
your show a
HQ.
couple times.
You were a guest on the show a few times, and it was called Film HQ
Mm-hmm.
was the name of the show. And I'll tell you what, it was a great show.
I love that show. That
I
was so
really
much
loved
fun.
the show. I loved doing the show. All the people who were involved with it did great. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I would have to like weekly meet with Lionsgate people, and so I was because I remember having to say for a while, it's like there are always people accusing me of either being on Warner Brothers or Disney's payroll. Well, there is actually a studio I'm on the payroll. And it's Lionsgate. Just so you know, I'm actually literally on Lionsgate's payroll for a while.
And just so you know, we're all waiting to become Disney shills. So when that cheddar comes through,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
perfectly
we're
willing to
waiting.
take it.
When Disney wants to come in and purchase the John Campea Show and make it the Disney presents the John Campea Show. We're
And
ready
my
for you
But
guys.
Okay,
Moonfall, come on, Lionsgate, you got to sponsor
I
us
know.
up to the
Come on,
next.
Moonfall.
We're already giving him enough free press.
A part of me wants to watch Moonfall without any sound, just because if that story if that story kicks in, I'm scared of the story. I'm just scared of if it makes sense or not. But I would love to see the moon just.
I love that you're like, only visuals for me,
Yeah, visuals
moon
for
falling,
me.
nothing else.
That's all we watch for 2 hours is the moon slowly
I
comes
know.
down.
That's what it is into 2 hours because the moon ain't gonna just,
It's like melancholia, but
Yeah.
different.
Hey,
It's
by
like
the
a
way,
screensaver.
I gotta throw this out there. By the way, I was gonna make it a topic today, but we didn't. So the forecast of the box office forecast has come out. So they're saying Jackass could end up being open to the second highest opening that the Jackass series has had so far. They're saying it could open around $30 to $33 million, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe a little bit higher. Moonfall? They're projecting $8 to $12 million opening.
Come on.
Come on, people. We have to get a Moonfall swell going. We need a wave of everyone to go see
The movie
Moonfall.
theaters won't even be open after Moonfall.
I don't know if we're gonna wave because the moon's falling, so the tides are gonna be
Guys,
all
start
wonky.
the hashtag See Moonfall.
Do you know
Hashtag See
some friends and
Moonfall.
I, like 10 years ago, we were thinking about if we could make an asylum movie, like Sharknado. We came up with an idea called Moonami, about a tsunami on the
Oh
moon.
my God.
And,
let's do it.
and we even had an ad line, wave goodbye to the moon. And
Wave
it was
goodbye.
about a comet, an ice comet that would warm up to the point where it flooded the moon and there was like a moon base.
Moonami.
We had a logo and everything. Moonami.
Moonami,
Clearly,
so
Roland
good.
Emmerich had somebody in our camp
Man.
and stole our idea.
All right.
Maybe
Let's-
that'll be the sequel. Moonfall
let's keep
sequel.
going
Will be
here.
Moonami.
Moonami.
Moonami. Wave goodbye to the moon.
Okay, was that our last one? Oh no, there's still one more from Andy. Sorry. Twilight Boy and the Moon fight each other for Kristen Stewart's love. Which of these random movie crossovers would you look forward to the most? I will just say the best one you said there was Terminator. No. There it is. Avengers: Age of Adeline. That's
What
the
a
best one you
weird
did.
movie that would be.
Okay, let's keep going here. Cutter Hale writes, hate to break it to you, Ray and Rob, but Jackass Forever is going to destroy Moonfall, calling it Jackass takes number one at the box office with 30 million at least. We were just talking about that.
Why does everybody have to rub this in? Why
I
take away
know.
my joy? Come
Why
on.
not just
It's
love?
not, box office is not even important to me. We're getting the moon attacking Earth.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Don't yuck
I
this
mean-
I
on,
don't care
y'all.
if you see it or not.
And
I'm
everybody
seeing it.
should go see it. Let's make Jackass second place.
I'm looking forward to Jackass. I want them both to do
You're
well.
not helping, John. You are not
I wanna-
helping.
It seems
to
so
do well.
painful. It's way
All
too
right, let's
painful
keep going
for
here.
me.
Out of Time 1985 writes, have any of you heard of Jeff the Shark, a.k.a. the best Marvel character?
Jeff
I don't know that
Shark.
character.
No?
Is that like Paste Pot Pete?
Just Spot Pete?
What character is that?
Shout out to John Schnepp.
There's the
a
John
character.
Schnepp thing.
Oh, really?
Paste
All
Pot
right.
Pete.
nice.
Unfortunately, out
Oh
of
my
time,
gosh,
no, we
he's
have
so
not.
cute.
Have you looked him up?
Jeff the Shark is adorable.
Jeff the Shark and what was the question?
Oh, so let me see if I can
Where
find
was
it.
his first appearance?
Let's see here. It's Earth 616.
So it's a Marvel character?
Yeah.
I don't know Jeff the Shark.
Okay, well, here we go.
That's cute.
West Coast Avengers Volume 3, number 7.
Oh,
Oh.
He's adorable. I love him.
Cute.
There you
what
go.
Does he do? Does he cute you to death?
Is he cute to death? He reminds me of King Shark in Harley Quinn. The Harley Quinn
yeah.
incarnation of King Shark. All right, we keep going here. Next up, Jack Master Nord writes, Game Day, the Book of Boba Fett. Hope it's a good episode. Listen, if tonight, look, we say it all the time,
We've already done with this
winning
series.
cures everything, right? They come out tonight with a kick-ass episode. It changes the narrative.
Yeah, how many more episodes? 3?
3 episodes left.
I'm having this nightmare right now that
right now?
tonight. No. Like I've been having this nightmare that tonight it's all gonna be flashback.
Oh God! I hope they're over. Finish it. What are you? You're almost. What are you crying? You're so.
So right now really killed me.
I'm sorry. But like I'm having this thing where I'm like they might drag it out to like the last 2 episodes and we might be strung along again.
What's his flashback to his favorite breakfast? Just remembering my favorite breakfast.
It'll be a nice plug for the Star Wars cookbook.
Because
Which you can
there you
get.
go.
It's really good.
because
What
what
if one of Tatooine's moons fall?
Oh,
Oh,
on.
crossover!
I'm telling
oh
you.
my god, leading into Moon Knight.
But then he looks at the moon and he says, "I am Boba Fett," and then the moon just stops.
I am Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. All right, let's keep moving here. Next up, Josie Reviews writes, I don't care what anyone says. Coraline is a horror movie, and that cricket in Pinocchio is the offspring of that of the other mother.
Fair.
I would say Coraline is I mean, it's a slash genre. It's a horror slash something.
It's a dark fantasy.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Absolutely. Animation's a medium, not a genre.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
You know, remember Polly's robot in Rocky?
Yes. Happy
Rocky
birthday,
IV.
Polly.
Rocky IV.
It's not there anymore.
For some reason, it reminds me of that.
They cut it out
Oh.
in the new version of Rocky 4. No more robot.
Oh, okay.
It's terrible.
Just as well. That was a horrible scene. Happy birthday, Polly.
Happy birthday, Polly.
All right, next up. Where are we at? A. Marcellus writes, I love my fantasy slash sci-fi slash action blockbusters, but sometimes I appreciate a movie with just acting and nothing else. My favorite is Margin Call. Margin Call was great.
It is
by the way,
great.
and it has a ridiculously good cast. It flew under everybody's radar.
I don't know this
Let me
I don't
get
know
the
it
full
either.
cast list here.
It's really, really good.
Let me just bring this up here.
That's one of those movies I love to watch clips from
I
it
just
on
remember
YouTube.
because Zachary Quinto. I took notice of it because Zachary Quinto, who of course was in Heroes,
And he was one of those prime movies. He got that movie produced. He got Margin Call made.
Yeah,
Okay.
hold on a second, bringing it up now. So it was.
It's so good.
Listen to this cast: Zachary Quinto, Paul Bettany, Jeremy Irons, Kevin Spacey, Stanley Tucci, Demi Moore, Simon Baker. I mean, it's a pretty damn good lineup. It was directed by J.C. Chandor, who just directed. What did he just direct? Hold on a second. Let me just look up what he directed again recently, because I thought, oh, that's not what I was thinking of a year at all. But he also did A Most Violent Year, and he did Triple Frontier, which didn't turn out so well for. But he's direct. That's why I remember his name. He's directing Kraven the Hunter. He's the guy who's directing Kraven the Hunter.
You got Margin Call is a great. It's about the subprime mortgage crisis when this bank is about to fail. There's a great scene when Jeremy Irons comes in to address the board. It's so great.
All right, let's keep going
So
here.
great.
Next up, James Argento writes, if Din, that's the Mandalorian, if Din appears in Boba, do you think Bo-Katan and her crew will be with him? Also, I think Boba might try to recruit fellow clones like Rex for his war. I don't see him going for other. I don't see them doing anything with clones. I don't see them going in that direction. But having a on your left moment in the Book of Boba Fett,
Well, that
where all of a sudden, dun, 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 out comes, why am I freezing on the name of the actress who plays
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff, and who's the wrestler?
Sasha Banks.
And Sasha Banks comes walking out. Din comes walking out. A now walking along Force-enabled little baby Yoda
It's
comes
just not
walking
fair
out.
anymore. That's just not fair. There's not even a struggle
Then
anymore.
Bosk shows up, his old buddies, Bosk, IG-88.
Well, that's what I want to see. I want to see,
to
Zuckuss and Dengar and Bosk and IG-88, and although IG-88's
And the
destroyed.
Trade Federation. Oh my God. Coming out.
What are you saying?
What do you say? Huh? The blockade. Perfectly legal.
legal.
I love them. We're represented, baby. Represented in Star Wars. What? Oh, sorry. I don't know. I was like, I guess that's me.
Did you think that when you saw it?
I did. I said, I guess that's us. We get no lightsabers, but we get to trade talk and do
I
math.
don't know why I think that's so funny.
Do math.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not for everyone.
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, my stomach hurts. Okay.
Right, let's go. What's next, John?
Okay. What's next? Here we go. Da, da, da. Okay, Assistant Professor X. I love that username. Wait. John, big fan since the Red Curtain days. Neil deGrasse Tyson was giving it.
You broke him.
Well, I mean, come on. What else was I supposed to think? I was young.
Okay, let me try this again. Assistant Professor X writes, John, big fan since the Red Curtain days. Neil deGrasse Tyson was giving a talk about the many delusions people have about space. He said this was going to be a rant. I am going to do a John Campea here. No, he did not.
What?
No, that didn't happen. If that did happen,
Neil deGrasse Tyson did come to one of our Starship Smackdowns at Comic-Con one year. And he gave an impassioned speech about why the original Enterprise should defeat the refit Enterprise from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So he very well could watch this show.
I mean, I know he's into geek culture and everything. I do not believe for 1 second that he actually referenced me. I cannot believe that for a second. If it did, I'm going to put that on my business card or something.
Clips or it didn't happen.
John Campea, once quoted by Neil deGrasse. All right, let's keep going here. Next up, oh my God, Boo Brady, 21 writes. Boo Brady writes, hey, John and gang, adding to the book of Sleepy Fat. Adding to the book of Sleepy Fat. Episode 4, Incompetence Points. He has that problem over the pit, even though in one scene prior, Fennec uses a device that can map out a whole base. LOL. That's true. I didn't even think about that. She's got hey, fair. You know that little flying thing? Can you send that? Nah. Let me fly my ship right over this giant tentacle wheeling monster. I am Boba Fett. That's a good point. That's well brought up, Boo Brady. Well brought up. Okay. Al Renshaw writes. Overtime rules are fine. How about you talk about how Buffalo let Mahomes go down the field in 13 seconds to even force overtime? See, this comes from a debate. Like, one of the greatest football games I've ever seen happened the other night, right? KC and Buffalo. Now, college does overtime rules right. Hockey does overtime rules right. The NFL has an idiotic overtime rule where it's like, okay, they toss a coin to see who gets the ball.
Isn't it a fairly new overtime rule?
Yeah, it's relatively recent. So for those of you who don't know, in the NFL, if it goes to overtime, you toss a coin, and if the team that wins the coin toss scores a touchdown on the first possession, game's over. There have been 11 NFL playoff overtime games since these rules came into effect. Out of the 11 times, you know how many times the team that wins the coin toss wins the game?
11.
Close. 10. 10 out of the 11 times.
That seems a bit.
Basically, the game is decided by who wins the coin toss. I'm sorry, but you're an idiot. You're an idiot. If you look at, out of 11 games, 10 of the games were won by the team that won the coin toss. You're an idiot if you don't understand that winning the coin toss gives you an absolute advantage. Well, it's an absolute advantage.
Proven by the results.
The statistics show you will most likely win the game if you win the coin toss. And that's not how sports should be determined. The team should decide who wins the game, not the flipping of the coin. And so they've got to change these rules. And now finally, I've been talking about this for years. Even when the rules benefited my own beloved Tom Brady winning overtime games that way, I still say I'm super happy about the result, but they really do need to change this rule because it's fundamentally unfair. The game is determined by a coin toss. No, it's not. Over 90% of the time, the teams that win the coin toss win the game. Tell me again. I mean, it's ridiculous. They have to change the rules. Anyway, I don't want to go ranting off about sports things here. All right, next up. At a Time 1985 writes, thoughts on the movie The Artist? That's the black and white.
Yes.
With
John,
Darjen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wonderful movie. I didn't think it deserved Best Picture, personally. Wonderful movie, though.
Yeah.
And he's still going. Like after that Academy Award, he just didn't just disappear into the fair night.
Have you ever seen his OSS 117 films?
I have not.
They're spy thrillers, but they're parodies, and they're done as if they were shot in the 60s.
Ooh.
And there's a new one coming out. They're amazing. If you haven't seen them, seek them out and find them.
That sounds so fun. My biggest takeaway from The Artist is I taught my dog bang bang so I can do finger guns at them, and now they die.
Aww.
So
do they do it?
They do. Trico,
awesome.
he goes stick him up, so he puts his arms up, and then Gimli has a very long, dramatic death where he falls to the ground.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's cute.
All right, let's move on here. Sam Fisher writes, what are the betting odds / where would you set the over-under on Dane Whitman being in Moon Knight, even if he's just an end credit scene? Ooh, low. I'll go 13%. Rob, what about you? Chances that we see? I mean, there is some stylistic similarities there.
Well,
I
it's,
suppose.
it's tough because to me, there's two different Moon Knights, and it looks to me like they are leaning into the supernatural elements of it. So I couldn't say yet. I haven't seen enough, but I could see a possibility of that happening because of the fact that Moon Knight is connected to Werewolf by Night. The first time Moon Knight ever appeared was in a Werewolf by Night comic. So he does have a connection to the supernatural, and Khonshu and all that. It just depends how they're going to go. Obviously, they're not going the Batman route that the first Moon Knight series that Sienkiewicz and Mensch did. They're leaning the other direction. So I don't know yet.
They might mention him because Dane's a scientist and historian at the National
It's
History
true.
Museum.
That's why if they're going to lean into the Egyptology of it all, and he is in England, so you know what, there might be.
I'm setting the line about like 13%. Where were you set a line?
I think I'm going to go a little higher now that I'm realizing because it's in England. It's in England. It's at the museum.
Okay.
So
let's keep going here. Sam Fisher also writes, I get Peter Dinklage is upset about the word dwarf. No, he's not upset about the word dwarf. He's upset about the portrayal of dwarves in Snow White as being 7 guys who live together in a cave. Like that, he's upset about the portrayal of them, not the word. It's offensive, but aren't they also considered mythological creatures? Isn't that the difference? I mean, again, to me, the reason I've never even thought about this as an issue at all is because I don't see dwarves in Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, Snow White. They're mythological creatures. They're different. It's not what we are. Just like I've never thought of as hobbits. Hobbits are a completely different species.
right.
Dwarves are a different species. That's how I've always seen it. But again, having Peter Dinklage raise his voice about this made me go, well, maybe we need to look at it.
And also the portrayal, the portrayals of these characters in these mythological settings is not adverse. They're shown as being capable and clever and nice.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we go to Jack Master Nord, who writes, we need an A-Force show starring Anne, Aaron, and Chris. I'd be down for that. Anne can do anything. Anne can do absolutely anything. Noah AG writes, do you think Tom Holland's Peter Parker will get the symbiote in Spider-Man 4? I don't. Now you can go, but John, they left behind a piece of the symbiote to the last one, which, by the way, makes absolutely no effing sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops! The magical spell accidentally left behind. Nothing else left behind. Not a scrap of information on a computer hard drive anywhere. No, oops! The piece of the symbiote got left behind. Oopsie! It's magic. It's not a plumber named Gus who forgets something. But anyway, that being said, I'm not saying we won't see that little bit of Venom that got left behind not come into play maybe in a Spider-Man 4, but I don't think they'll just like kind of revisit that same storyline again. I don't think they will, but I don't know. Rob, what do you think the chances are here?
I mean, look, it's obviously it's a big part of the Spider-Man mythology, but I just don't see. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
because of Sony's Venom.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think with Sony doing stuff, it just seems redundant to have the symbiote in there
Yeah.
right now. And also, I think if they do something with it, it's just going to be further down the line. It's. I know it's a 4th film, but it feels too early for it.
Yeah.
He just got his apartment. He's a baby. Leave him alone.
Andrew
And his
Garfield
new
for Venom
costume.
3. That's what I want. Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man.
Andrew Garfield
Venom
and
3.
Venom
Gosh.
and Tom Holland. I mean,
Most chaotic
again, I don't think it's going to
Spider-Man.
happen, but oh my God, I hope you're right.
Wouldn't that be
hope
cool?
you're right. It would be so cool.
Wouldn't it be cool if? That's what I always say. Wouldn't it be cool if?
I would love it. All right, next up. Andy writes, if the Batman ends up as the #1 greatest of all time of comic book movies, would it have been worth it to lose Ben Affleck and his vision of the story and character? Hindsight, the old adage, hindsight is 20/20. I mean, I don't know. Because here's the thing. They theoretically could have, because this Robert Pattinson Batman is in a completely separate universe, they theoretically could have done Ben Affleck's movie and done a Matt Reeves thing at the same time. But if you're asking the question, if this Batman movie becomes the greatest comic book movie ever, like it eclipses the Avengers, it eclipses the Dark Knight, it eclipses Logan, then I would have to say then losing Ben Affleck's Batman would have been worth it. Even I have to say that. Like, is losing $1 million worth it to get $1,010,000? Yeah. So I mean, that feels weird to say it, Rob. Like,
look, you know what? If it was true that Ben Affleck's Batman was making Deathstroke, the Terminator, Joe
and some people inside the industry said it was the best Batman script they've ever read.
I was so there for that because I love I love Deathstroke. And him going up against Batman, that could have been a great movie.
All right.
I'm deeply saddened.
Let's move on. Next up, we've got Matt who writes, "Hey, John, can Batman realistically make $1.5 billion with China included, assuming they release it? Can it? Yes. Of course it can. The question is it likely to? And there's there are so many obstacles in this Batman's way. Obstacle number one, there's a lot of confusion going on with audiences about Batman right now. Obstacle number two, a lot of people haven't liked the renditions of Batman we've been getting. So that's another obstacle. Obstacle number three, and you know what I'm going to say, Twilight Boy, there's a bunch of people who still don't understand that Robert Pattinson is a top shelf world-class actor because all they know him from is Twilight. And I think that's going to work against it as well.
But you know what's really funny? Those Twilight movies are not bad. They're not bad. Come on.
I'll say I didn't mind the last one.
I really liked the first one.
I
thought the first one was really good.
I didn't see them until 2020, and I watched them all back to back. So also I have that. I didn't watch them during the time. But that baby that shows up in that movie is nightmare fuel. That baby will haunt my dreams till I am dead.
And didn't they give it like the stupidest name ever? What was the
like Rosa Mead? Something. It's like the two moms' names mushed together, and then the werewolf boy and Prince on her.
Renesmee?
Renesmee? Is that it? Gosh, Renesmee. Yeah.
Renesmee.
Thank you, chat.
Okay.
That baby.
So I didn't mind those, and I'll say this about the Twilight series too. One of the things that I appreciate, whenever I have a movie I hate, I try to find something that I appreciate about it. One of the things I do appreciate about the Twilight series was instead of just going on with the old traditional tropes of vampires and whatever, they almost brought an X-Men mutant feature into it where, yeah, there's some standard abilities that all vampires have, but each vampire also has a unique ability. And I like that. So every vampire was different from the other ones. And listen, I actually kind of appreciated that instead of the stereotypical when sun hits them, they burst into flame.
Instead, they sparkle in the sun.
Okay, but you know what? It's still something that says if you are in the sun, you will be exposed. Mm-hmm. So I got to say, I appreciated that. I still don't think the movie's very good. Well, but the last one was okay.
I do think that there is an element of sexism in all of this because the books were written by a female author and the main character is the female protagonist. And she's got her two boyfriends that she's fighting against, and so that's why people
they're fighting over.
And are fighting over. That's correct.
Which I mean, same thing with Hunger Games.
Yeah, I know, and no one complains about that. I mean, I read the first Twilight book, and I read all three Hunger Games books, but I do think that they were YA novels directed at women. That's why they have this residual. I mean, to make fun of him he did a good job.
Yeah. Well,
people just make fun of him. It's a sparkly vampire.
Well, even then, I think.
But he was good as an actor. I mean, I thought
I'll say this: he was not as good as he is today.
No, that's true.
You know what I mean?
But it's also part of the material didn't serve him well.
That is true as well.
He was like a puppy dog.
Look what we're seeing what happened right now because we got in Belfast. We've got what's his name?
Jamie Dornan.
James Dornan, who of course was in the 50 Shades, which is fan fiction of Twilight. He was in 50 Shades because you're watching 50 Shades and you're like, I don't see anything here. Like this guy isn't that good. Turns out it was probably just the material because then you see him in Belfast and you're like, oh my God, this guy can act. Like real good. Okay, sorry. Let's keep going here. Sam Fisher writes, one of two. You talked about Henry Cavill being a household name last week when talking about Elba Bond casting, but my mom had no idea who he was. When he was on Colbert promoting Witcher a couple of months ago, he's mostly done genre work like Witcher and Superman. Well, yeah, but Superman is Superman. You don't get much more household name than Superman. Look, when you say somebody's a household name, that does not mean everybody on the planet knows them. Not every, but generally speaking, most people will. Henry Cavill didn't just suddenly pop up out of the ether. Like, he was also a star. Where I really took notice of him as a great actor, he was in The Tudors. And he was great in The Tudors. And then, of course, he started doing The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Witcher, Superman. I mean, yeah, so I think it's fair to say Henry Cavill's a household name. Not as famous as like a Will Smith or a Leonardo DiCaprio.
And it's also a generational thing, too.
Yeah. There's
A
probably
lot of moms aren't up on box office draws.
Yeah.
But my mom knows who Henry Cavill is. I mean, I'm sure. Does Logan know who Henry Cavill is?
Oh my gosh, of course he does.
And yeah, I mean,
The Witcher's so
your mom
good.
may not know who Henry Cavill
No,
is.
no.
If Logan
Oh, your mom knows who.
Yeah.
Okay,
who Logan 5 and Francis and Jessica are.
Exactly.
of course he does. All right, next up, we've got Enrique Carceres writes, hashtag release the Reeve cut. That's been a lot, because ever since we talked about the fact that they screened a 4-hour cut of the Batman, there's already this ridiculous thing going on. Release the Reeve cut. Yeah, no. All right. Wanda Blackwell writes, hey, Chris, Ron. Hey, Chris, John, Ray, and Rob. I'm happy about the Daredevil series coming back. Thank you, Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, I think he's because we see Charlie Cox in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody. I don't think
there's gonna be a
anything's official that
series
there's going to be a series
As of right now, but we do know that he will continue playing Daredevil should Daredevil show up.
I will say this. I know something about Daredevil. Actually, you know too.
Well, I
but
would say,
we cannot say.
no,
we
but
cannot
I
say
would
what
say
it
that
is.
there are other. I mean, Daredevil is a lawyer. That's all you need to say. He's a good lawyer, as we know.
Which means he can play a lot of different functions in the MCU.
And
All right.
maybe he'll be on some kind of procedural show with another lawyer.
Maybe.
Oh my goodness.
Who knows?
All right. Let's keep going here. Next up, Casey Mack writes, just coming in from Deadline/Variety that Percy Jackson has finally gotten a series order and production is set to start this summer with casting currently underway. Actually, remember a little bit earlier when I said, oh, Disney just sent in something. Oh, maybe we'll address this a little bit later. Yeah, it was the Percy Jackson thing.
So there was 2 Percy Jackson movies, right?
Yes.
There were 2.
Yeah.
So they're
I
doing.
don't think they did a third. They never
I'll check.
they never got around to the
did
third.
not see them.
No, I know
Me
they
I
either.
saw the first one, and I think I saw the second one. If it had,
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
both of them.
Just-
it had
two.
Medusa in it.
Did you
Is
sleep
that
through
the
them?
one? The one girl.
One of
with
them,
the
yeah,
face?
Medusa in the second one.
Yeah. Okay.
Medusa
So
in
I
the
saw
second
both
one.
of them.
And it had True Detective Girl,
Alexandra Daddario.
Alexandra Daddario. Yeah, she played the young girl in it, which was really weird because I watched those Percy Jackson movies, right? I like the Percy Jackson.
I thought they were good.
And then a few years later, and of course, Alexandra's like one of a young girl, this little girl. Then a few years later, I get this text message from my wife who's like, because the show True Detective had started. And like, I get this text message from my wife saying, have you seen Alexandra Daddario's boobs? I'm like, what are we talking about?
Why would
She's
I
like,
have Anne? This feels like a trap.
the scene that's all over the internet right now, the scene from True Detective. I'm like, no. And she sends me the link. It's like, something is really spectacular when your wife is sending it to you. But it's like, and it's like, but it was a weird disconnect for me because I'm like, this is the little girl from Percy Jackson.
See, I knew her from White Collar.
Do you still have
I
that
never
link,
did
John?
watch White
Oh,
Collar.
so good. I highly recommend.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
can, that's another one you can binge now.
I think you're right, though. There are some child actresses when they grow up and they get, like, I might feel unclean. Like,
Yeah, like,
Dakota Fanning. I love Dakota Fanning.
oh, she's great.
But
She was great as a child actress.
That's what I mean. I love Dakota Fanning when she was, like, in War of the Worlds. You know,
And by
I
the way,
don't-
her sisters turned out to be really good
Oh,
too.
oh,
Both
incredible.
really
I
good.
love them. But, Dakota Fanning, she's still, I don't want to.
Yeah, I just
I don't
see
wanna-
them as I will always see
And
them
I
as
love
child
her.
actors. It's hard for
Love
me
her
to
to
break into
death.
that.
But, yeah.
All right, let's move on here.
Drew Barrymore, same thing.
Almist writes, what would be your dream cameo in Doctor Strange 2? Storm for me, don't care. I really don't care about cameos. If they pop up and surprise me, great. But
Sentry.
honestly, I don't go.
Century.
Sentry would be an
great.
interesting one.
Century.
Sentry would be an interesting one. All right, next up. Duba Ajuba writes, hey, John and Co. Evening from India. I heard the other day someone recommend a film named Three Idiots, and I must say it's a great recommendation. Do watch it soon. Yeah, somebody else did write in
Yeah,
that
they
in.
did.
And that's something I have to keep my eye open for.
We
too,
need
but
more
thanks for writing that
Bollywood
in.
movies on this show.
We probably do. John Redcorn writes, I agree with Rob about Garfield and Venom 3. If you don't fight Spider-Man, I don't know where you go with Venom outside of him fighting another symbiote. A million different directions. There's a million different things you can do with Venom. You
But
don't.
there's only one that's going to make it $1 billion movie.
Well, I'll tell you what. Again, I don't think they're going to do it, but I am all for it, man. I am all for it if they go in that direction. All right, Kai L. Wong writes, the Batman trailer, Alfred says, "You're still a Wayne. Could this mean Bruce is not the biological son of Thomas Wayne, but Riddler is, and out to prove Bruce is living a lie?" I don't think they'll go there with that. No, I think it has something to do. Look, I think this has to do with the Wayne family legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that line probably comes out of an argument about the legacy and Alfred saying, "You're still a Wayne," like that kind of thing. I don't see them doing something that drastic as to suggest that Bruce Wayne is not the biological son of Thomas and Martha Wayne.
I think that would be too gimmicky for the kind of movie that we look like we're getting.
Yeah.
You know, I watched, I think it was a fan edit. Some fan put together, like took all the stuff that's been released and cut together like an epic trailer. I watched this and I'm like, damn, this looks good. Like I watched this fan edit like 3 times going, God, I can't wait to see this movie.
I think that'll apply more too to Bruce's idea if he identifies as the Batman. He doesn't identify as Bruce when he's talking to himself. So I'm sure
that's
this is
true.
One of those moments of, but you're also this. You
that's
still are
actually
this.
a really good point.
And if he found out he wasn't Thomas Wayne's son or something, would that affect how he feels about his parents' murder? I don't know.
It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. All right. Last one comes from Anish, who writes, "Hope this phase of Marvel isn't just nostalgia overload with former X-Men or Fantastic Four actors showing up. Spider-Man was fun, but now I'm more interested in compelling stories and new original X-Men characters." Listen, that's kind of been my fear too. I've been a little bit worried about Marvel losing itself to just fan service drivel. It's like, okay, this movie isn't so good. Oh my gosh, it's I don't know. What's the Sean Ashmore? It's Sean Ashmore. Is he the guy who played Iceman? Yeah.
One of the Ashmores.
One of the Ashmores. One of the 2 Ashmores. I actually, one of the Ashmores is in The Rookie that Aaron Cummings is going to be in a few weeks. But anyway, it's Sean Ashmore. Oh, now suddenly because this cameo happened, this movie's great. Like I am really, and that's one of the reasons why I detest the multiverse nonsense, and I detest it. You can tell a couple of good stories, and they have, but I really do hope they wrap this up soon. I hope they wrap it up fast, but I don't know. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, you know, also we were talking about we were talking a couple weeks ago about Echo being a backdoor Daredevil show.
Right, yeah.
But to me, like if you have Kingpin and Daredevil in an Echo show, it's part of that same group. I don't think it seems more natural, but this
pairings is one thing.
This multiverse stuff, I'm with you, man. It's Multiverse of Madness is going to be out of control.
Yeah.
Out of control. But I hope that and if it is leading up to Avengers Secret Wars, it would make sense. But I hope then they close off the multiverse because, I mean, we're going to get it in Quantumania because Kang's the villain. So I really hope it leads up to Secret Wars and then it ends.
Yeah, they got to wrap it up at some point. At least I hope they do. All right, guys, listen. That's it for all of the live ones that you guys sent in. We're going to move over now and start taking the tip questions you guys have sent in. Once again, if you want to get in a tip question because you're not watching the show live, you can do that by simply using the tip link that's down in the description below, or enter it anytime manually at www.streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. So you'll get your questions read on the show or an upcoming companion video, of course, if we deem them appropriate for our show. And of course, you're supporting the channel at the same time. But before we do that, as is now tradition, we are going to take a moment. We're going to stretch our legs. We're going to refill our drinks, give you a chance to talk amongst yourselves. Gives us like 3 minutes. We're going to take a little break, and we will be right back. everybody, and we are back. Thank you so much for your patience and indulgence as we took a little bit of a break there. Now, let's get on through the questions you guys have sent into our tip link, and we're going to get things started off here with Sean Thomas, I believe. What do we got up first here, Chris?
All right, Sean Thomas, the comedian, says, I need to mention before time has passed regarding MJ in No Way Home. She was so compassionate even when things didn't go the way they wanted it to. I loved that and wish most people were like that. Plus, Tom's acting was great in seeing that love she had.
Though seriously, one of the really great things about the movie, I think, was the fact that, you know, MJ has evolved, and I have liked the MJ character more and more. And you're right, Tom's acting in it has been fantastic. All right, what's next?
All right, then we're talking to Casey McNatt. Two-parter here. John, after watching episode 4, I have a theory about Peacemaker's dad neighbor. I really think he might be Batmite. He seems to really be a big fan of Batman. I could be wrong on this, but I guess we will find out soon. Also, wonder why they had news report about a gorilla being stolen. Wonder if that will be important or it's just some Easter egg.
I think it's going to be Sergeant Gorilla.
Or Gorilla Grodd.
Well, no, Gorilla Grodd is. I don't think it, because I think they actually specifically said the name. What was it, Charlie?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think they actually said in the
Right.
news report it's the Gorilla Charlie, who in the comics is
Right.
actually Sergeant Gorilla.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, like,
If a
maybe
gorilla shows up in this show, I would not be surprised.
I would not be surprised at all. See, here's the funny thing, though. I mean, with James Gunn, some people think, well, they have to come back to that since they focused on it. It's like, no, I can see James Gunn just putting that in there as a little wink to people who really know, because James Gunn loves the obscure characters, right? So that could be a little nod to that. It would be fun. But yes, I think there is something to the neighbor, though. I think there's going to be a surprise with the neighbor. I don't know what the surprise is. I don't know whether he'll be Batmite, but
Batmite would be wild.
Do you
It
think
would
if
be
it is
wild.
Batmite, he would actually turn into Batmite?
God,
maybe.
I hope so.
I could totally see that happening.
I remember.
I wouldn't put it past James Gunn to do that.
I'm going to point this out. James Gunn posted on his social media a fake comic book cover, illustrated, of John Cena's Peacemaker and Batmite. So, I mean, it could be connected. I'm saying it could be. All right, what's next?
All right, this is from Dr. Nova. Hi, John. Just thought Rob would like to know that the first interracial kiss on TV wasn't in Star Trek in the UK. It had been happening for a while and on American TV. It was I Love Lucy.
Do we consider that interracial?
He's Cuban.
He's Cuban. I mean, which is only like, what, 75 miles off the
Well,
coast of Florida?
I would say this. You know, in the United States, it's a different. I mean, the perception is definitely different.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
like Martin Luther King was civil rights and all that. It was not the same.
Yeah, not the same thing. But I mean, I guess technically speaking, he's got a point
Say,
there. I
Lucille Ball
suppose.
had to fight for him to be her TV husband. He
Yeah.
wanted someone all-American,
That's
which
right.
he was.
Which, by the way, if you guys not seen Being the Ricardos,
So good.
totally watch Being the Ricardos. So good. Actually, our friend Scott Mance just did
Yeah.
the roundtable discussion with the cast. Of it,
Yeah, I
right?
saw that.
Scott gets all the
He's
cool
crushing.
gigs.
Mance is always crushing.
Mance
it.
is crushing it.
And by the
right
way,
now.
he has a great Star Trek podcast. Which I
Yeah, what's the
appeared on
name of it
once.
again? It's called.
It's called Enterprise Incidents, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, love the work Scott's doing. All right, what's next?
K-drama fan? If you guys liked Netflix's Kingdom and Squid Game, then I would recommend seeing My Name.
It was really good.
It's about a young woman that witnesses her father's death and later joins a crime organization to seek revenge. It's 8 episodes long and it's on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember seeing a trailer for
Yeah,
this.
and I stumbled upon it while we were going through Netflix and then I said, oh, a bunch of people on the show had talked about My Name, and we started watching it. It's actually quite
It's
good.
good.
I haven't got through to the end of it yet, but I'm really enjoying it so far. All right, what's next?
All right, Garden Variety Vagabond. Team, had any of you seen the interview where Isla Fisher shared that while she was first dating Sacha Baron Cohen, one thing they shared was that they both separately seriously studied at clown college? Love it.
I have not seen that,
Wow.
but I am not surprised. By the way, I know I talked about it yesterday. Let me plug it again. Stumbled in and started watching Werewolf Like Me.
Wolf Like Me.
Wolf Like Me, sorry.
Spoiler alert, John. Jeez.
It's really good. Not a top 5 best thing on TV, but it's really good, and you will find you're gonna be. And it's fairly short episodes as well, but I got through the 5 episodes or 5 or 6 episodes that's out pretty quickly. And Isla Fisher is wonderful in it. Josh Gad is showing us a side of himself that I didn't know he was capable of doing before, and I'm buying their chemistry. I'm going to admit, when I first heard a show where Isla Fisher and Josh Gad are in love, I'm like, really? But I buy it. Like, the connection they create on screen is great. And yeah, check it out if you guys get a chance. All right, what's next?
All right. This is from Senpaigar. Senpaigar, excuse me. I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Just watch the trailer for Moonfall. Robin Ray better make some room on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Welcome.
There's so much room back here.
Senpaigar, join us.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the first restaurant that opened on the moon? Had great food, but no atmosphere.
Okay.
I think that's exactly the level I want this movie to be at, right there.
Can I say, though, we talked, I think, like maybe a couple weeks ago about like perfect songs to use in trailers. That is the perfect song to use in a movie, Moonfall. I see.
Although I have to say the use of Depeche Mode's Policy of Truth in the Death on the Nile trailer is dope.
That's very true.
I still think maybe one of the best I've seen in forever, though, is Immigrant Song for Thor Ragnarok. That is
But,
like, it's great.
You know, I watched Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Fincher's version, and they use, Nine Inch Nails and Karen O did a version of that song that's on the opening credits of Girl, with the amazing, even cooler than Seven, maybe.
Okay, I'm going to say, though, greatest song to use in a trailer, with the perfect marriage of a right song with the right trailer. Logan, Johnny Cash's rendition.
Oh.
Like, I hurt myself
today. That was so good.
Oh, it's so perfect for that movie. Like that is like the ultimate one. Anyway, okay, what's next?
Don't sleep on Moonfall. Peacemaker is the best comic book movie-based TV show, surpassing the MCU shows and even Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn. Vigilante is awesome and is a better Deadpool than Deadpool. While DP is funny, he's one-dimensional. Vigilante got range from hilarious to sad.
All right, well, I mean, I agree that I think that this show Peacemaker is better than anything DC's ever put on TV. Now, granted, I understand we're only 4 episodes in and it could go south. So I might change my mind on that. But right now, with what little sample size we have, I think I like this more than Doom Patrol, and I love Doom Patrol. I think this is better than Harley Quinn, and I love Harley Quinn. I think this is better. This is better than Smallville. And I have a big appreciation for Smallville, I do. And again, I know. It's only 4 episodes. We'll see. I do not think Vigilante, there's definitely a Deadpoolism to Vigilante, especially when you watch that prison scene from episode 4, which is still so good. But Deadpool is still better. Deadpool's still better. I'll say, and I don't know that I'm ready to say that Peacemaker is better than any of the Marvel stuff that's come out yet. I don't know that I'm ready to say that Peacemaker is better than Daredevil. I'm not ready to say Peacemaker is better than WandaVision. I'm not quite there yet, but it's something special. I mean, it's something really, really special. I got to ask Ray, have you gotten caught up yet? I know you watched episode 1.
I was just talking about it, and you know how my sense of humor is. For some reason, after that first episode, I don't know, there's something weird. And then it has nothing to do with him.
Doesn't work with your sensibilities.
It might be too raunchy for me, and I say some raunchy jokes, but for some reason, when I'm watching it, there's some parts where I'm like, oh, or like uncomfortable. The parts I like is really funny, but it hasn't gotten me to watch episode 2 yet. I'll probably end up continuing it, but after the first one, even though I liked it, I was like, this may not be for me. I don't know why, which is annoying me, but I can't really pinpoint it.
Let's move on. What's next?
Joseph Curtis. Hey, John. Love your channel and content.
Oh, you missed one.
Oh, sorry.
From Don't Sleep on Moonfall.
Don't sleep on Moonfall more. Don't you just love the opening credits for Peacemaker?
Love it.
I never skip it. Hell, I might want to be a butterfly myself if it means I get to learn those sweet, sweet dance moves and can pull it off as robotic and butterfly alien-esque as the cast does it.
I started to annoy Erin last week because Erin would come in, and as I'm sitting here getting ready for the show, and I don't mean to, and she's sitting over there where Chris is currently sitting, because I just be sitting here doing things, and I cannot help but start humming out loud. If you really want it, and Erin's like, "Will you stop with that?" Because it was like, she's like, every day. It's like I can't help it, and it's like, yeah, still the only opening credits to any show that I don't skip. I do not skip the opening credits for that. All right, what's next?
Now, Joseph Curtis. Hey, John, love your channel and content.
Thank you, man.
I noticed your latest video about how you're looking for more space for your business. Would you be interested in hiring an editor for your channel? Haha, I know, far out their request, but I would love to help you.
Well, okay, just so you guys know, this is not the platform to apply for a job. When I do, to be honest, when I do need help, I start with my immediate connections because, yeah, that's where I always start with. I start with immediate connections, and then I will put out a hiring call or a casting call, whatever, depending on the role. I will put it out on the appropriate channels. I will then interview. I will look at resumes. I will do all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate, I started having to put in, when I would put out these job postings, I started having to put in a caveat saying, full appreciation to fans of the John Campea Show, but if you have no background and you have no experience in this, please don't send in a resume and take up my time, because I do get a lot of people, and I mean, first of all, it makes me feel amazing that there are so many people that want to work with the show. That feels great. Thank you for that. But it's like people write, oh, I'd love to work for you. And I remember I had a conversation on Facebook once. I just want to work with you. I'm like, okay, what would you do for the John Campea Show?
Well, I went and saw Moonfall.
Yeah, I saw Moonfall. I'll tell you, oh, so you want me to make you an on-camera personality? Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. It's a but. Yeah. When I need another new editor, I already know who I'm going to. Like, I already know who I'm getting. So, again, it makes me feel so good when people write in saying they would want to work with the show. I feel so great about that. But let's be realistic. That's not how it's going to happen. So I appreciate you asking, man. It makes me feel so good that you'd ask. But no, I'm not going to be hiring.
You're hired. With all that to the side, you know what?
When
I
did
got a
you
good
start?
feeling about you. You're hired.
Ray's bringing you in.
Yeah, so it's probably never going to happen that way. But again, it makes me feel so good. Thank you so much for even asking about it or wanting that. All right, what's next?
Wes Maurer. Hey, Team Campea. Ray mentioned that the movie Faster with The Rock plays the same score throughout the entire movie. Another one that does this is the movie Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, that's a good.
I didn't mind Eagle Eye. I don't remember the music in it. I don't. But I remember Shia LaBeouf and the guy who directed it, and I'm freezing on his name.
DJ Caruso directed it?
I don't think it's DJ Caruso.
No.
It might be, but I don't think it is. But I remember for the longest time, the two of them were supposed to do Y the Last Man. It was supposed to be Shia, and it was supposed to be the director. If you guys in the live chat know who it is, let me know who it is, who directed Eagle Eye. But it was supposed to be Shia LaBeouf and him for like 3 years.
Yeah.
They were attached to do Y the Last Man. And I was incredibly excited about it, because I want to see the show they recently just did was not very good. And people, by the way, Rob, just so you know, people in the live chat are saying it was DJ Caruso.
It
So
is
you
DJ
nailed that on the head.
It is?
It was DJ Caruso, yes. So, and they were supposed to work together on Why the Last Man. I was so excited about it. Then the movie project fell apart, and then they did the TV show version instead that had nothing to do with DJ, and it didn't work out so
Yeah,
well.
it
They
wasn't.
canceled after one series.
And they couldn't even get someone else to pick it up.
No, I mean, it wasn't that good.
No.
It just wasn't that good. So, all right, what's next?
All right, this is Rick Hunter 100. The other day, 1998's Armageddon came up in conversation.
Hi, that's right.
Have any of you seen the extended cut of the film? It was only released as a Criterion DVD. I have always wished I could upgrade my copy to Blu-ray, but no luck. I think Criterion's license expired.
Unpopular thing to say, I'm not big on extended editions. Like, to me, the movie that got out, that's the movie.
Dude.
And so, don't get me wrong. Like,
Dude.
I appreciate the extended version of the Lord of the Rings films. I do. I appreciated the extended version of Batman versus Superman. I did. But even then, to me, the version of the movie is the one that got released. But so,
Yo, dude. Who's got the Criterion extended?
of course
DVD?
you got the physical media guy.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
And you know what? You have a PlayStation 5 with the disc player in it.
I suddenly have a
you
physical
have
media
no
player.
excuse. I'm going to start feeding you things.
I would start
Watch
jamming
this.
things in this drive right now.
Yeah,
Just
come
start
on,
jamming
man.
things in there.
Only
Be
good
like,
things.
it's all digital now. Sorry.
It is all, but don't jam certain things. Just make sure it's
Unless
discs
they
only.
add extra verses of leaving on a jet plane, I'm not interested in an extended version of Armageddon.
Does it come with the commentary from Ben Affleck? Because that's hilarious.
Okay, that.
I think it.
Wait a minute. Are you being serious? Is there a Ben Affleck commentary?
Yeah.
There is?
There's some clips that were going around the internet of him being like, oh, yeah, now we're going to go up to the moon because we're going
Okay,
to
I
know
got it.
more
Yeah, yeah.
about...
did it
Come on,
that
dude.
way.
That I gotta
it wasn't
see.
like a serious.
It's him
commentary?
being like, yeah, because we obviously know more about space and stuff than scientists and
that's
NASA
great.
astronauts. Okay.
That's
All right. I
Yeah,
got
they
it. I
couldn't
got
train
you.
astronauts how to drill. They
Yeah.
had to take drill
They had to teach
people
us how
to
to be
space.
astronauts.
All right, what's next?
Okay.
William H. Just saw that Sundance is going to be virtual this year.
Yes.
Are you interested in any movies playing this year? I think the horror movie Hatching looks good, interesting.
This is the funny thing. I have never been interested in going to Sundance. It's just, there are always films that come out of Sundance that are amazing. But like the people I know, my colleagues who go to Sundance every year, it's like you got to sit through 7 movies to see 1 or 2 like that are going to be gems of the year, right? And that's not a ratio I like. Like that's why I prefer things like the Toronto International Film Festival and stuff like that, because the movies that are playing there, you know, they're probably going to be
Yep.
those are not the smaller ones just looking to get picked up. So I don't pay a lot of attention to the festival. What I start paying attention to is when my colleagues start talking about which ones at the festival are worth watching. And then about a month or 2 after Sundance, I start picking up
Yeah.
on those.
Yeah.
So that's where I've been at right now. So.
I'm right there with you. I would love to have a film in Sundance one day.
Of course. So would I.
But the greatest film festival on the entire planet is the Sitges Film Festival that's outside of Barcelona, Spain. It's a film festival dedicated only to science fiction, fantasy, and horror films.
Ooh.
And it's on the Mediterranean, and it's in Sitges, and it's amazing.
I debuted my first film, Prince of Peace, God of War, which was a documentary, at the San Diego International Film Festival. I love that film festival, not just because they played my film, but because that film festival is like a 3 parties every night film festival.
Yep.
Like it was a party. So even though I only screened over 2 days, I like the Prince of Peace, God of War screened 2 days. I went for the entire week because it was like just Toronto International Film Festival is like that too. Like every night, massive parties
yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Sitges is like that as well.
Oh, and it's outside Barcelona.
Outside 20 kilometers south, right on the Mediterranean.
I've got to visit. All right, what's next?
Let's go.
This is from The Luscious. All right. R.I.P. Louis Anderson. I remember seeing him growing up in the 90s all over TV, from Life with Louie, Family Feud, etc. I hope Disney uploads the show. I remember last seeing him a few years ago jumping 30 feet off a high dive for charity. I will miss him.
I don't remember. By the way, Lucius sent in like $33 to
Yeah.
support the channel. Thank you, Lucius, for supporting us on that level. Louis Anderson, he was a unique voice. He had a style amongst himself. And again, because of all the things you just mentioned, a lot of people only thought of him in those roles.
Right.
Right. Or for a lot of people coming to America and stuff like that. He was a very gifted stand-up comedian who had his own very unique voice and types of humor that I always thought there was something very welcoming about Louis Anderson. And that's why, like, when I heard Meatloaf pass away, it's like, oh, that's unfortunate.
Yep.
But when I heard Louis Anderson, I thought, oh man, that's really made me sad when I heard about that.
Dude,
So,
January of 2022 killed Betty White.
yeah.
This is like the most deadly year ever, or deadly January of all time.
Yeah.
It's unrelenting, and it's still
It's
a
not
week
over.
left.
That's not over. All right. Thanks again for sending that in, Lucius. And thanks for sharing your memories of Louis Anderson. All right. What's next?
Shane Bennis, maybe one name. It's finally happening. My thick Thor hot toy from Endgame is finally shipping. This will complete the trio alongside my Iron Man and Captain America hot toys, both from Endgame as well. It's the Marvel Holy Trinity, baby.
I'm going to go on a limb. You have got an order in for this hot toy.
The Fat Thor?
Bro Thor.
Bro Thor.
I cannot tell a lie, John. I do.
Oh my God.
And did you get a notification that it's shipped?
You know what? I have not. My battle damaged Tony Stark, though, is coming with the Infinity Gauntlet, the I Am Iron Man die cast. Yeah. And you know it's gonna arrive Friday.
You know what I almost bought last night? So right beside you, there's a little table right beside you, just where you
There
keep.
is.
Last night I was in Irvine, California, at a place called the Spectrum Center, and I can't remember the name of the place, but there's this great shop in there that has a lot of geek art, pops, comics, like some first issues that are graded and everything. I sent you a picture of the Moon Knight one.
Yes, you did.
But they had this bust of Venom.
Did you say Irvine Spectrum?
Spectrum Center.
Is it Excalibur collectibles or something like that?
That might be the name
Excalibur
of it.
Comics, something like that. Okay, go ahead.
So they have this bust of Venom that's like this big. It's just the head and the top of the shoulders.
Yeah.
And it was like $600. But I'll tell you, I came so close to just pulling out the card and buying it and sitting it right beside you, so it would
I could
be
lean
in
on
camera.
it.
Yes.
Aw.
Oh,
great.
I seem
I don't know.
so close
If I
to
need
getting
some
that.
help.
I don't understand those busts though. I know how they look cool, but man, I would want a statue with the whole body doing something, right?
Well, yeah, but at
That's
that scale, that
$6,000.
would be that you're talking
Oh,
life
okay.
size $6,000 or $7,000.
Yeah.
That would be huge. All right, what's next?
All right. Richard O. Hey, John,
Oh,
Rob.
I'm sorry, just interrupt. I just want to recognize that Shane also sent in like a $20 tip. Thank you so much for that, Shane. Appreciate that, man.
Richard O. Hey, John, Rob, Aaron, and Ray. Quick shout out for Aaron for her part in King Richard. So
Yes.
good. I was so thrilled when her scene came up. Congrats, Aaron. Question for the crew. If you had to recast an Ocean's 11 reboot today, who would be your cast?
Well, I mean, everybody knows what I'm about to say. X actor, next role, I don't care. As long as you put gifted, talented actors in there, I'm perfectly fine. But let's appreciate for a second. I mean, we all knew when the movie came out, that's a great cast. As
It's
the
a
years
great
as the years
cast.
progress, though, you just appreciate it even more. Like that cast in those movies are insanely
That
great.
movie
So
is
good.
so great.
Oh, I love another example of a remake that I think is better than the original.
Oh yeah, by far. The other two movies are only okay, but I love the first one.
I really didn't like the
first-
Julia Roberts thing when it was like, you look just like Julia Roberts. I mean, it's like that was a little meta. That didn't
Yeah.
work. But do any of the rest of you guys have particular people in mind? Like if they were going to redo?
Oh,
I mean,
man, that's
X
11
actor, no pro
actors.
for me.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
I
so
don't like.
many.
I don't know
Throw
who.
Kevin Hart in there. No, I'm there.
But in the Don Cheadle role, maybe.
Don Cheadle's Basher was great.
Oh,
Why does he have that accent? Doesn't matter. It's
It
awesome.
doesn't matter. Oh God, I do love that movie. All right, what's
It's nice working with proper
This is
villains
from
again.
Luke 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you think that digital comics can affect the resale value of physical comics? Because why pay $1,500 for the first appearance of Morbius when you can get the digital version for $3?
Well, wait a minute. That's kind of like saying, why put down $7 million for the real Mona Lisa when I can give you a picture I snapped of
Yeah.
it in the Louvre for $3? Because the real thing is the real thing. I mean, look, I honestly think the digital comics, if anything, they might drive up the value of the real comics because it's the
Absolutely.
real physical thing.
Yeah, and it means something to the people who want that physical copy, right? We
Yes.
get first editions in my house. We go through those books and we go through and we see if it's a first printing of thing because that's just something that means something to us. I will pay so much money out the ass to get a first edition of certain things. So
You know, I got to meet John Taylor of Duran Duran when I bought a first edition of The Secret History by Donna Tartt. He was at the same
Reflex.
bookstore. The bookstore was behind behind Book Soup on Sunset Boulevard. It only sold first editions. I forget the name of that place.
Wow.
that's amazing.
Again, speaking of the place that I looked at the bus again, they had wall cases filled with like these prime issues of, including Spider-Man #1.
Were they graded?
Or the first one with the grading. Now the Spider-Man one only had a grading of 1.0,
Yeah, but that's
but because otherwise, like I've seen that same issue on Pawn Stars go for like I think in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
yeah.
But
yeah. If it's
this
in good,
one probably would
good condition.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like you were just saying. I mean, there's only their physical objects represent a time and a place as well. So when you have an original comic, it meant it came out. Like I have the first issue of Vigilante that I never thought I would get it slabbed because it only ran 50 issues and then Adrian Chase kills himself. But now with Vigilante, a popular character on Peacemaker, the value is going up and mine is in beautiful mint condition.
Well, then you and I should take a trip to Vegas, go to the Pawn Stars thing, and see if you can get some money for
Well,
it,
Vigilante's never going to get that much
and get
money.
on TV. It
But I'll
might be
get
worth
it
something.
slabbed.
All right, what's next?
All right, from Garden Variety Vagabond. John and team, talking about pre-Bond Daniel Craig, I highly recommend to any Anglophile to watch the 1996 BBC miniseries Our Friends in the North. It stars not only a young Craig, but also young Christopher Eccleston and Mark Strong.
That's a nice sounding cast.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I am not at all familiar. Any of you guys familiar with the show?
No.
This is not on my radar at all.
But I love all these actors. Ninth Doctor, getting Mark Strong in there too. Heck yeah.
Because the only thing that Daniel Craig, the only thing I recall ever seeing Daniel Craig in prior to his turn as Bond was he was the guy in Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider. That's the only thing I knew him from.
Did you ever see Layer Cake?
Yes, but that wasn't until after he was
That's
Bond.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So after
Oh, no, I think it came out right before Bond.
Did
Maybe.
it?
I think it might have.
That's Guy Ritchie's
Yeah.
Layer Cake. I
Well,
gotta look.
Guy Ritchie's. Yes.
Hey Ray, can you look up for us what came out first, Casino Royale or Layer Cake? Because you're probably right.
And you know what? I don't think I think Guy Ritchie's producer who made the Kingsman movies. Why am I drawing a blank? I would say X-Men. The director. I think he produced Layer Cake.
Oh, you know what? I'm not thinking. Who directed Kick-Ass?
It's the same guy.
Yeah. What's the name? I'm thinking. I might.
Why
be
am I
confused.
drawing a blank?
Layer Cake was 2004, and then Casino Royale was 2006.
Yeah.
All right, so you're right. Layer Cake did come out first,
But who directed Layer
Matthew
Cake?
Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn.
Yeah.
And Matthew. Yeah. Sorry, I was confusing Guy Ritchie for Matthew Vaughn.
produced Guy Ritchie's movies,
Right.
and then he went and did Layer Cake.
All right. Oh God, I do love Guy Ritchie.
Dude, I want to see that new movie.
I want to see The Gentleman again.
It's so good.
I haven't seen The Gentleman since we saw it in theaters.
I know.
Because then everything.
Well, I could also bring over my
the
Blu-ray, which
physical
you
mail
can
of
play
The
on your
Gentleman. There you
PlayStation
go.
5.
All right, what's next?
Oh, we are more garden variety. John, I like the intermission idea. I love the intermission whenever I watch Camelot every few years. But the difference now versus the 60s is that the concession lines can be much longer. Separately, concessions now are great for dine-in AMC or even apps.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the idea of intermissions and stuff like that. And I still like the idea of an intermission in movies when the movies are long enough to justify it. Like over 240 or 250, right? If you're over once you get around that 3-hour range, I think that can really help. But it's not just for a concession stand run, because the concession stand run won't be as bad if not every theater in the place is intermissioning at the same time. Like they're going to be intermissioning at different times. Plus, I mean, for me, it's just a great idea to stand up, stretch my legs, use the bathroom quick, maybe check my phone so people aren't tempted to check their phones in there. Again, I like the idea of it. I understand there are arguments against as well, but yeah, we'll see. All right, what's next?
All right, this username. Angela Lansbury fights Nazis.
Okay, whatever that is, sign me up.
Yeah.
Well, I'll watch that.
I would watch that movie. Hey, did you see that the new Apple TV trailer for We Crashed? Looks interesting. I feel like Succession is leading to a lot of business office dramas. I saw there's an Uber TV show too with Gordon Levitt. What do you think of the trailer?
I don't know what We Crashed is.
I think
This
that's
is
about
Leto.
WeWork.
It's about WeWork, and it's Leto and Hathaway.
Well, I watched a documentary on the whole drama behind WeWork.
It's a dramatization of that.
That became like a freaking cult.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of really cool ideas in it, and and like when there's like what they were trying to do with WeWork was great. I love the concept, but then it started to become like really.
Jared Leto looks great in the role as the Russian guy.
Okay, I gotta see that. Now the Joseph Gordon-Levitt one, I have seen the ads for that, where it's the whole behind the thing of Uber and stuff like that. That to me is interesting, but I did not see the ad for We Crashed.
If you would have invented Uber, you would have invented Uber.
A little bit of social network there for you. All right, what's next?
Zero Pop. Let's have a quote from Roger Ebert settle the debate over the length of the Batman. He famously said, "No good movie is too long and no bad movie is short enough."
It's an oversimplification, because a good movie that then gets stretched out too long, well, then it's not so good of a movie. Mm-hmm. And so, or a good movie, but that is overly cut down. Well, suddenly now it's not as good. So when you find a great movie, part of that also means the filmmakers found the right length for that movie. Longer isn't better. Shorter isn't better. The right length for that movie is what's better. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you tend to lean more towards the longer, the shorter? For me, it depends on the genre.
Depends on the movie.
Yeah.
When I bring over a certain movie next week on 4K, by the way, that we're going to play in your PlayStation 5 as we watch it, we'll bring the extended cut, and it'll be even better.
There you go. But like for me, there are general things. Like generally speaking, I like rom-coms to be shorter. Like I like shorter, tighter running times. Set up the boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl back kind of formula, whatever it is you're going to do. And then give us the nature and the feel that this one's going to have. Give us the unique individual personalities, get in your jokes, get in your gags, and then get out 100 minutes, 105 minutes.
Yeah.
Perfect, right? So, but there are exceptions to that. Some can be longer. The same is true with other like crime dramas. Get a little more of a slow burn, drag it up, but sometimes shorter is better. I mean, every film is unique. All right, what's next?
Another one from Garden Variety Vagabond. Thank you so much. It is just amazing that Lee Pace is the same man from both Foundation and Pushing Daisies, which ran from 2007 to 2009. The latter was a sad casualty from the writer's strike, also with the iconic Chi McBride and Kristen Chenoweth. God, that show was good.
I never did watch that one.
Oh, Pushing Daisies was
Brian
delightful.
Fuller show.
Oh, so good.
It was good.
By the way, he's also Ronan the Accuser. He's also, what was that? It wasn't Burn Notice. It was
the startup one that I watched.
with
Control,
Mackenzie
Delete?
Davis. What's that?
Control Alt. Wasn't
No,
it
it was
something
with
like that?
Mackenzie Davis.
No, Mackenzie.
It wasn't Burn Notice. It wasn't Halt and Catch Fire, or was it?
Yes, it was Halt and Catch
Catch
Fire.
Fire.
Yeah.
When they're developing
Yes.
the laptops and the computer program. That show was
You know what?
really
People
great.
told me, they're like, for the longest time, people told me to watch that show, and I'd never seen it. I loved it.
Yeah, I really
That's
enjoyed.
not Mackenzie Davis from The Martian, is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh wow,
Yeah, she's like the lead female in
it's
the
like my
thing. And
favorite thing in the world.
her and Lee Pace in it have this great chemistry.
Yeah.
It's really good. You should check it out. All right, what's
Lee
next?
Pace is also a good Texas boy. So just going to throw
Is
that out
he?
there. Yes, he is. He's
I
from
did not
Spring.
know that.
He's from a town over from me.
I love him in Foundation. Like,
Oh, he's great.
Love him in
great.
Foundation. All right, what's next?
All right, more Garden Variety Vagabond. Team, I am very cautiously optimistic about Vikings Valhalla. It starts February 25th on Netflix. What did you hear about it, and should I be getting excited? Totally different cast from Vikings, as it's 100 years later, and stars Johannes Hakor Johannesson.
I'm just impressed that you got through the name.
Thank you. Me
That
too.
was really good.
I'm usually pretty bad at the names.
I think it'll be good. Vikings is good.
I loved Vikings, but I will admit, I kind of let Vikings drop off my view list once.
Is it going to be about dead Vikings, though?
What's the main guy's name again? Like Bjorn's dad, the main guy, and I'm
Hrothgar?
Yeah, Ragnar Lothbrok.
Oh, there we go.
Ragnar
I just
Lothbrok.
smushed those together.
Once Ragnar dies, I'm not saying the show got bad. It's just like, for me, the show was then over. Like, once Ragnar died. And I know, like, some people, like Anne, watched the whole thing through, right? She goes, like, some points it got even better. Like with Bjorn, I think his nickname Bjorn was Ironside or whatever. But she said it got even better and stuff like that. But yeah, when Ragnar died, the show for me kind of ended. But I loved Floki. Floki is a character in that show was so good.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in seeing where they go with this. And of course, the Northman, you know what? I just said that the one I'm most looking forward to that's not comic book or action movie was Cyrano. Northman has to rank right up there too.
It looks incredible. And I'm a huge Robert Eggers fan, man.
With the director of The Witch,
I know.
and Lighthouse. And
I love The Witch. And it's very difficult to create mood and atmosphere. That's not an easy thing to do. And he did it so well in The Witch and The Lighthouse. And Northman looks to be just incredible.
Absolutely it does. All right, what's next?
Incredible.
More Garden Variety Vagabond. Okay, I admit it. I just put Johannes Hakor Johannesson's name because I wanted to hear you all try to pronounce it.
Well,
My second day
Chris
back,
killed
Garden
it.
Variety. Goodness gracious. He plays Olav Haraldsson as male lead. I will miss Gustav Skarsgård as Floki from the original Viking show, though.
by the way, then Gustav Skarsgård, and yes, he is another one of the Skarsgård clan. He is related to all the other Skarsgårds. He popped up in that Netflix show where he played Merlin. It just happened last year. There was the name of the show is eluding me right now, but it's about this young girl around the Arthurian legend, stuff like that. But she's kind of the main thing, and she plays like the savior of the wood people or like the mystical creatures. And then Skarsgård plays Merlin in it, which is a totally different kind of rendition of Merlin we've ever seen. I didn't love the show, and I can't remember if any of you guys, was it called Cursed? People are saying it's called Cursed. Okay. I'm saying it, I don't even remember it, but I didn't love the show. But he, as a Merlin, was great. I really loved him in that. All right, what's next?
More Garden Variety Vagabond. Another interesting upcoming show is Inventing Anna. It is based on the straight from the headline story of a young European woman, Anna Delany, born Sorokin.
Oh, and that stars what's her face from Ruth in Ozark.
Oh, yeah. She's playing a 25-year-old con artist jailed for grand larceny while trying to get $50 million in loans for a club. This trailer looks crazy.
I've
looks great.
seen a promo for it. And I was like, oh, I hadn't even heard of this. Like, do you guys know more about this? Is this something we should be looking forward to?
Yeah, it looks great. The show, it's based on a true story, right? Yeah, it looks great.
All right, something to keep on the radar.
Also, what is the name of that actress? And why do I not? Because I've been watching Ozark. And I'm not
She
going
was
to
on Modern Love,
I'm not
too.
going to say
She's
why.
great.
There's a bit of acting that she does in the 7th season, or the 7th episode of Ozark that blew me away. She's an amazing
Julia
actor.
Garner.
Yes, Julia. She's amazing. She won like an Emmy, didn't she? I think she did.
I think so.
All right, time for one more today. What's our last question today?
Kingpin's fedora. I enjoyed Hawkeye, but the deleted scenes are great. Young Clint getting his mom arrested, Eleanor's tense first meeting with Fisk, straight out of Daredevil, Clint apologizing to Maya for her accepting, yet they kept that musical as a post-credit scene.
Well, yeah, but remember, post-credit scene it's a little bit different. That was a callback to something they had done a lot earlier in the show. It was just meant to be a throwaway thing. Again, I have no problem that they showed us the Rogers the Musical thing. I thought it was delightful. I did not think it was great as being the only post-credit scene in the entire series. I thought if they had mixed it in, like we talked, Rob, about the idea of if they had done that whole Rogers the Musical thing, and then the camera goes from facing the stage to spinning around and start facing the audience, and then it starts to zoom in towards the back row, and in the back row was Old Man Rogers. That would have changed the entire complexion and feel of that thing.
Dude, I just got chills. Why didn't they do that?
It would have been
Why didn't they do that?
so perfect. Him just grinning and laughing at what's going on. I mean, it would have been, or if you couldn't get Chris back for that, have Falcon and Bucky sitting in the back, kind of chuckling at me. Just some kind of little thing to make it feel like a legit post-credit scene, you know? I just think that would have been a good move on their part. But that's just me. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Don't forget the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow. We'll see you guys then. We're going to talk a little Book of Boba Fett tomorrow.
Well, I don't.
What's that? Oh, that's right. Rob's not here tomorrow. Sorry. This will be the final Wednesday.
That I'm not here.
Actually, we'll let you guys know a little something. We'll let people know this. That, tomorrow is the last Wednesday that Rob won't be here. Because starting the following week, you're going to see a lot more of Rob.
People are going, oh my God, really?
You're going to see a lot more of Rob.
What kind of show is that?
Because while for the last number of years, Rob has worked with me on a very part-time basis, come in and do the John Campea Show, do a couple of companion videos. Starting next week, Rob is working full-time with our channel. Rob is going to be working full-time with the John Campea YouTube channel, and so you're going to see us making some more videos. You're going to see his face around a lot more. He will also be around on Wednesdays. And, also, by the way, Ray, for I don't know how many years, has basically been working like half-time or like three-quarter time starting next week. Ray is working 100% full-time on the channel, which is really, really great. And then Chris simply refused to work full-time. I'm just being real. I put it out there.
Chris, what's wrong? I take showers now.
Chris has a coaching career. Chris has work she has to do with international students. She needed more
to donate
time
her time
in her. But no, honestly, we're super thrilled. She is going to be working with us every day, though. So we're super thrilled. She's not quite full time. Monday through Friday.
And then I leave because getting people excited about voiceover sparks so much joy in my life.
I know, and I love your work with voiceover
Thank
stuff.
you.
This is so great. So you're going to see a little bit of a change of gears with the John Campea YouTube channel next week. And by the way, I'll let you know one of the first different things you can see. There's a little something we've been talking about for a couple of years, and that is Movie Club. And next week, we are doing our first episode of Movie Club. For those of you who know what Movie Club is, it's a real simple concept.
John, you can't talk about Movie Club.
The first rule of Movie Club is you can't talk about Movie Club. But no, honestly, simplest concept. Here's what Movie Club is really simple. Every week, we're just going to take a great movie, We're just going to take a great movie and we'll let you know in advance what movie it is. And we're going to talk that week about that movie. We're going to do it live. And a part of that is you guys can join us and write in your thoughts and speculations and theories about that movie that we're talking about that week. And it's basically book club, but for movies. And our first movie that we are going to be doing movie club about is Gladiator. The Russell Crowe film Gladiator. That'll start next Tuesday. And then every week we're going to be doing a different awesome movie. And now we have the time to do that, and that's what we're going to be doing that. So I hope you guys will join us for
the
that.
Extended version of Gladiator, by the way. I'm making you watch the extended version because
I don't know if it's going to be the extended. Maybe it's better. But now you guys have some homework. You guys at home have some homework. You've got the next 7 days to make sure you get caught up, go back and watch Gladiator again, get ready for Movie Club that we're going to be doing on Tuesday. And we hope you guys will join us for that. But for now, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much, guys, for being here, making the show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the comments and questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the John Campea Show, thank you guys so very much for that support. Thanks over to Rob. Rob, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me here more often. You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM. Find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett or RMB. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I joined that thing. And find me on my own YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, which isn't going anywhere.
And right beside him is Moonfall anticipating Ray. Ray, where can people find you?
Moonfall Club. Ray or with the zero.
Dude, tomorrow.
Oh, and I should mention, keep your eye on the channel tomorrow because tomorrow night we're going to be throwing up our reactions because all four of us are going to go see Moonfall tomorrow.
Everyone's waiting for it.
Oh,
Everybody,
yeah.
the world's waiting for our Moonfall reaction tomorrow night as we go to see it. And of course, sitting right beside him is Chris Carr. Chris, where can people follow you?
On social, I am at actor Chris Carr, or you can find my website, chris-carr.com. Chris with a K.
Just out of curiosity, for people who are interested in learning how to be a voice performer, how can they get in touch with you for some coaching for that?
Oh, thank you, John. That's so sweet. 2 ways you can do this. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can go to my website, chris-carr.com, or I do group classes too. They're all on Zoom, so if you are an international student, you're outside of LA, no worries. You can do this in your pajamas. You're going to go to eebstudios.com.
All right, guys, and you, of course, can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter, simply at John Campea. That'll do it for us for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.